know what they say about Derry.
No one who dies here ever
Really dies.
My father came to this country with $14 in his pocket.
Down with the clown.
And welcome one, welcome all to the Welcome to Derry episode 4 after show discussion. And as I anticipated, I had a feeling the episodes were going to continue to get a little bit better as the season progresses and as we get closer and closer to Pennywise making his grand entrance. And I feel like last week's episode and this episode were definitely their two strongest of the season, at least for me so far. But this was an interesting one. We got a lot of interesting things, some interesting setup things for next week's episode. And for anyone who saw the trailer for episode 5 next week, then we are definitely going to be seeing Pennywise in all of his glory. And just from the trailer alone, it looked phenomenal. But this was a pretty good episode. It was definitely a pretty good setup episode where we learned a little bit more. We got a pretty big exposition backstory dump through Dick Halloran as he is interrogating Tennille. And a lot of that has been added into the show. A lot of that is not in the source material, but Andy Muschietti has built a very kind of extensive lore around the origins of it and first encountering the Native Americans in the area of Derry. So we learned a ton about that in this episode and the efforts that they went into try and contain it to a certain degree, which is an interesting diversion from the source material, a very interesting diversion. But this was a pretty fun episode for the most part. And I feel like they're setting up some really interesting things for the final 3.
Yeah, I mean, this was different, right? I feel like this episode kind of took the story to a different direction. I mean, we thought that this episode was going to be all about Periwinkle, and we were going to kind of dive in more into the children's idea of how to capture Pennywise. But we went all the way back. I mean, I had no idea that we were going to get the origin story. We literally got the origin story for Pennywise, which I thought was really interesting. They're really giving us all the answers. They're putting everything out there. And I like that. I do like that we got so much information. They're answering a lot of questions. I like the idea that Pennywise has a different name, right? Because depending on who he's interacting with, he has a different name. They call him the Golu, which that in itself sounds super interesting. I like that we're getting answers, and I think people will be happy with that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely it's one of those shows that doesn't drag out answers too long. They said when the show began that we were going to be diving into the past of Pennywise, the past of it itself, and seeing the trailer before the show even came out, the trailer of the comet hitting Earth and all of that. I think a lot of us were hoping that we were going to get some interesting kind of origin stories, a retelling of the origin story for the show. Like you said, we got exactly that. We got an interesting little origin for it. And again, the interesting history explained between it and the Native Americans in the area in Derry, and the kind of battle back and forth that the two have faced over the centuries, it seemed. So we learned a lot. We definitely got a lot of information in this episode for sure, and they were setting up a lot of interesting things for next week. And again, you mentioned maybe learning a little bit more about Periwinkle, the young clown that has been all the buzz lately in the Welcome to Derry fandom. And I think you're right. A lot of people were expecting to see her this evening, but it looks like they're saving all of that stuff. The Bob Gray stuff, the stuff in the bigger flashbacks. It looks like they're saving all of that. Pennywise himself for these last 3 episodes. It looks like they're really cramming a lot into these final 3 episodes. And it looks like they're going to be jam-packed these last few. And we're going to be getting a ton of Pennywise, but we're probably going to be also be getting, the periwinkle scenes, the Bob Gray that they have promised to dive into, and such and so forth. So yeah, it looks like they're saving all these big stuff, and of course the incident at the black spot. Looks like they're saving all of these big events for these final 3 episodes. So yeah, the next 3 are probably going to be insane.
Yeah, they're really setting up quite a battle, right? I noticed that Pennywise didn't say his iconic "You'll float too." He keeps saying "You'll burn too," and he
Mhm.
has been burning most of his victims this cycle
Yes,
around.
well, well, that one was specific for Will Hanlon. For anyone who watched, for watching it chapter 1 and it chapter 2 that preceded this, because Pennywise, he's a very powerful psychic, so it's not beyond the possibility that he can see what's going to happen in the future per se. So I think he was using specifically Burn with Will in that scene because he knows Will's fate. He knows what his fate is ultimately going to be. And we learn that it very much involves fire in it chapter 2.
Wow. I mean, I don't like that we know that. I don't like that
Mhm.
we know that because of people
Yeah,
who haven't seen the movies, right? Like we don't know
yeah,
that. We're just watching for the first time and we're
yeah,
wondering like why is he not saying his iconic "You'll float too?" So some
yeah,
things are predetermined and that's okay. I
yeah,
thought this was a great episode because we got so much information that I didn't expect. The
yeah. Me neither.
dagger. I was
I,
dying to
all the
ask you,
dagger
like,
stuff.
as soon
Yeah.
as I saw the dagger, I'm like, is that in the book, Jeremy? The dagger, the
Oh no,
weapon that
no.
no. Mm.
All of these, like, them grabbing all of these different pieces of his crash landing site and setting up like a little kind of cage barrier. Yeah, again, Andy Machete has injected a lot of stuff into the show version and movie version that isn't exactly in the book. In particular, a lot of the Native American aspect stuff that we see in the films and in the show, that's, Andy Machete's infusion of adding Native American lore to it, where it's not so heavy in the book like that.
I mean, this is very exciting because
The dagger
live
kills White
stream.
Walkers. It was obsidian. It did look like an obsidian
Yeah.
dagger that you would use to kill White Walkers.
But now we have a weapon, right? Last live stream we were talking about do we potentially, the children, do they have an opportunity at Pennywise? Not really, right? Because they make him all powerful. But with
Mhm.
the introduction of a weapon against them, a weapon that he's very much afraid of, we saw as soon as the little girl ran up with the dagger, he like scurried away. He is terrified of this weapon against
You
them.
created a
So,
MacGuffin, essentially, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
well, there's questions that I have too, right? Not only was it the dagger, so the children, the Native American children, went back and they found other pieces of the star that Pennywise arrived in, and they planted those pieces inside a turtle with such a Maturin sort of hint and a nod to Maturin. They put these pieces inside turtle shells, planted them underground,
Yes.
and that's why Pennywise has not been able to leave Derry,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
So this opens the possibility for him to travel the world if those are removed.
Again, they're definitely changing some of the rules and some of the origins, at least where the source material is concerned, in the sense of what keeps Pennywise landlocked. So yeah, in the show version, if these pillars are the only thing that are keeping him within Derry, Maine, if they get removed, could he essentially be moved out of Derry, Maine? Could the military really uh, move him out of Derry? Again, we're going far off into, you know, unfamiliar territory here because this is very far removed from the books at this point. Which again can be interesting. Sometimes it's not always good to know exactly what's going to be coming around the corner all the time. But part of me always at least really appreciates when the fundamental lore around a character kind of stays similar. And this is a very big deviation. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, if nothing else, definitely. But I'd be lying if I wasn't a little hesitant to wonder, like, okay, where is this going to go?
I mean, it's exactly what you said. This changes everything that we know about Pennywise. He can move, he can become that magic weapon that they have been looking for. And I mean, I don't understand it now, because now that means that you can beat Pennywise. Essentially, if you get this dagger and you maybe pierce Pennywise's heart with it, maybe you could kill him.
Yeah, who knows? Like, exactly, who knows how much power a weapon like this has over him? Again, this is stuff that they are completely doing for the show and for the show only. This is not derived from the source materials, as far as I remember. So yeah, who knows? I mean, again, yeah, I always get a little weary when shows create MacGuffins. This one end all be all weapon that can just do everything. It's the one thing. It's sometimes that can be good or bad, I guess, depending on how it's handled. But yeah, again, I'm intrigued. On one hand, I'm very intrigued to see where it's going to go, because I like not knowing what's coming. But the part of me that knows the lore kind of is a little hesitant to wonder, like, okay, how far off script are we really going here? At what point does this become a completely different story? Which, again, isn't necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes, if a good story is a good story, no matter what form it's in. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to go with it. Again, they're very much doing their own thing here. That's very well established from this episode. I feel this episode was very much establishing that Andy Muschietti is setting up his own mythology, his own lore. He's building his own backstory, his own history, and he has the creative freedom to do that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how it's going to differ from the lore in the book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it because immediately I loved it. But hearing you talk about it is a fundamental change, I'm not sure that I quite like it, because this is opening up the possibility for Pennywise to move out of Derry. That could be exciting to see him interacting in different towns. But then again, he is so Derry. That's the point of Pennywise.
He is
That
Derry.
he's
Yeah.
right, that he stays, there's cycles, they understand the cycles. There was something talking about this specific thing. There was something that was very surprising to me about General Francis Shaw.
Mhm.
He says, let's go ahead and invite the Native American children in, because he says that they have been just kind of looking at where the airmen have been looking for the weapon, where
Mhm.
they're digging around, making sure that they don't grab a hold of the cage that they
Yeah.
have made for Pennywise.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good guy up until now. Like, I thought maybe, he wants Pennywise at all cost, which is not a very smart idea, that you could
Mhm.
use Pennywise as a weapon. But
Yeah.
I thought that because he had a connection with Rose, who is also part of the Native American Council, he would kind of leave them alone. And he
Mhm.
doesn't. Not only does he not
No.
have a real connection, he doesn't trust her. He says,
Yeah.
oh, this proves it to me.
Yeah.
Like, they're enemies essentially. And I was already thinking, they were gonna become lovers, and we were gonna get this like General Shaw and Rose love story. He does
Mhm.
not trust her.
Doesn't
He
like it.
doesn't seem to be a good guy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the romance doesn't seem to be rekindling there anytime soon, at least. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a matter of, what does General Shaw really want? Does he care about Rose enough to kind of put aside this mission? Of course not. He's so dedicated to this. This is what he's been searching for who knows how long now at this point. So yeah, you definitely get the sense that he's willing to do almost whatever is necessary to complete his mission, really. But yeah, of course, and let us know in the chat, guys. What did you think of episode 4? What were some of your favorite scenes? What were some of your least favorite scenes? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? Please let us know what you guys are thinking, and where you think it's going to go from here. Let's see who we got in this awesome chat tonight. We got Fenrir here. Welcome, Fenrir. Good to see you. Looking forward to the discussion. Absolutely. We got Pam Jam in the house. Welcome, Pam Jam. What time is it? 9 p.m. I mean, I know this was way earlier, but yeah, every week, every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, they always air at the same time. So every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern is always when the episodes will come out. We got Fart Breath in the house. Do you think Bob Gray is going to appear? I mean, again, I was hoping to get a little bit of maybe some Bob Gray and Periwinkle backstory action in this episode, but it looks like, looks like they're saving a lot of all of that stuff for the final 3 episodes. So, unfortunately, no Bob Gray tonight, but maybe next week. Maybe we'll get some Bob Gray next week. They have promised to dive into it, so we'll be getting it at some point. We got Minerva in the house, and Minerva, of course, just became a new member of the channel. Thank you so much, Minerva, for becoming a member of the channel. And of course, all members of the channel have access to our all-new custom Pennywise and It Welcome to Derry emojis. Be sure to use them at your leisure. And thank you so much, Minerva, for becoming a member of the channel. It's very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. We got Ragnarok in the house as well. Welcome, Ragnarok. We got Whiplash. We got Whiplash Industry in the house. Welcome to Taking Tranks. I know, and that was definitely something that stood out to me instantly as well. I'm like, these kids are so desperate that they're out there literally taking tranquilizers in order to fend off Pennywise in a sense. And I just thought that was like, kids taking tranquilizers. It's just, it wasn't a good look, to say the least.
No, but so much happened in this episode. A lot has happened. So I'm just trying to think about all of the things. We got a lot of different storylines moving forward. With the tranquilizers, I will say, we got so much information from Will. They are really putting out all of the answers out there. Will basically told us, I figured out what Pennywise wants from us. He wants us to be afraid, and he's going to eat us. So he discovered and figured that out immediately. That's a lot of information to be thrown at us. I feel like we got a lot of information. And Lily, being that she has not only interacted with medication because her mom takes it, but she was in the asylum. And she also was taking medication. Her mom tells her, remember to take your pills. So she has been on pills, unfortunately. Putting those two things together, the children are coming up with a very creative way to not experience fear when Pennywise is around. And to me, I thought, you know what? You might be onto something, children. That might actually work. That might actually be something that works, but what are we going to do long term? You can't be taking pills every time you see Pennywise, right? Like that's not going to hold up for too long.
No, I mean, it's again, it's putting a Band-Aid over a gusher. It's going to buy you a little bit of time, but it's not going to be a permanent fix. Absolutely not. It's and like you said, we learned a ton in this episode, everything that you just mentioned, and then of course we got the entire backstory to the whole Native American origin between the tribe and it, and everything that happened between them. And one thing I will say, we got finally some phenomenal looking practical effects when we saw some of Pennywise's or its other forms in some of the flashback scenes. That they looked so freaking good. They looked so good. The ones that were practical anyway. We get to that one point where he's appearing as all of these like almost dead ghoulish looking bodies, and they all looked phenomenal. Really good practical aesthetic, really good practical effects. It all looked great. It was such a big step up from some of the heavy CGI scenes, in my opinion.
When I was watching it, I was immediately thinking of you, like, oh, Jeremy's gonna hate the googly eyes. The CGI on Marge's googly eyes was so bad. Very campy, right? Like I said, at
Yeah,
this point, it's a choice. It's campy. But that
yeah,
CGI on Marge's eyes was just like ridiculous. It was a whole ridiculous storyline to
mhm,
begin with. Um,
yeah.
but I thought, oh, he's gonna hate that. How did you feel about Marge's eyes?
I didn't hate it per se. I definitely thought it, looked a little goofy. Of course, it definitely looked a bit goofy, but no, I didn't hate it. I mean, it's not like it was like super crazy bad CGI. I mean, it was a weird idea, but that's the thing with Pennywise. You can do weird, creepy ideas like that, and and that's the kind of stuff that he does. So no, I didn't, I didn't mind it. It didn't bother me really. And it was just one of those scenes where it's like, okay, it's kind of gross, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. The CGI wasn't horrible. It didn't, it wasn't a bad scene or anything like that. I didn't mind it.
I mean, it's so deserved, really, so deserved. I see the chat was
Oh
talking
yeah.
about.
In terms of Marge deserving it or not, yeah, Marge deserved that shit. I mean, I did see that too. Like when the episode was on, it seemed like a lot of us were watching it right at the same time, and we saw a bunch of people in the live chat saying, "Ah, screw Marge! I hate Marge. Marge sucks." And yeah, I mean, what kind of friend is Marge? Jeez.
Yeah, and I hear the chat. As soon as we logged on, all of the comments are like, Marge is the worst. She's such a pick me. She is like Mean Girls. These are the Mean Girls of Derry. If Mean Girls were in Derry, it would be the patty cakes. And the fact that Marge is going along with it and she tells her, after the year that you've had, you deserve this. Go ahead and talk to him. So
Hmm.
she realizes that her friend has been through a lot and she's using that to manipulate her on top of it.
Yeah,
It's one thing to do something when you don't know or you can't relate to the person, you're too immature, but she's relating to her, saying, I understand that you have been through a lot. I understand that so much has happened to you. And she's using that to manipulate her so they can make fun of her. Marge is the worst. I was kind of happy when the googly eye thing happened to her.
I was a little happy. I'm not gonna lie, because I felt so bad for Lily. Lily's been through the freaking ringer lately from the beginning of this season, and even before the show started, with the death of her dad and all of that. And Lily doesn't have a ton of friends or anything like that. You'd think the one person that like wouldn't betray her to her very core like this. Would be someone that she considered her best friend in Marge, but it just really shows you how weak-willed Marge is, and what a follower she really is when it comes to her trying to fit in with these mean girls. God, these patty cakes, whatever they call themselves, idiots. So yeah, I was, Marge sucked in this fucking scene, and I totally had no problem with Pennywise attacking her eyes. I fucking cheered.
Wow, you feel strongly about that. You just called the beloved patty cakes idiots. They are pretty mean. They're pretty mean. I mean, they are, when you're talking about cruelty, these children in Derry, there's something wrong with them too. They're
Yeah.
super cruel after everything that she has been through. But Marge has always rubbed me the wrong way. She just has always been such a bad friend and so superficial, and it's only
Mhm.
about her. She only cares about her and about
Yeah.
Lily not making her look bad because she wants
Yeah.
to be in with the patty cakes. To me,
Yeah.
it seemed like this was an initiation for Marge. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to do this to Lily so that we know you're on our side, and then you could finally be part of the patty cakes. But we know the patty cakes are never going to fully accept Marge, because
No.
even when she does everything for them, they make fun of her. They're like,
Yeah.
that's the same sweater you wore a couple days ago. Like, ew. They're really mean. She's
Yeah.
never going to belong. It's never going to work out for her. So, my question, however, it seemed to me when that happened to Marge, like Pennywise was intervening and keeping the situation from happening to Lily. But Pennywise is not benevolent. He doesn't keep the children from suffering. So why would he do that right
Mhm.
at that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Why does he just scare and just do this where and it seems like he's at that part where he's starting to scare them. He's starting to season the meat, as it were. I think the more he scares them, the more it seasons the meat for him before he goes in and actually finishes the job. So he's in the scare phase right now, it seems. But one thing I did want to do, and I'd love to see what everybody's opinion is in the chat. We will throw up a poll here in 1 second. About time we start doing some more polls. I like a good poll every once in a while. And today's poll is going to be a simple one. Today's poll is going to be, did Marge deserve it or not?
It's quite simple, quite simple. I mean, taking into account, however, you guys, after all, she is a child. She's misguided, but she's also just a child. She had to take a knife to her eyes. Is that something she deserves, or is it too big of a punishment for some bullying?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that is a good question. It's not necessarily a yes.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting discussion around it to be had as to whether or not she deserved what happened to her. I think there's probably interesting arguments that could be made on both sides for sure, for sure. But yeah, let's see. We'll see how that poll goes. Right now, it's at around 60-40 or 55% of the chat says yes, Marge did deserve it, where 45% says no. So we'll see if some more votes keep coming in. Vote often, guys. Let us know. Did Marge deserve it? Yeah, Marge is trash. I don't think I feel bad for Marge. See, a lot of people are not feeling bad for Marge, and that's totally fine. It's totally fine. Marge will wake the hell up now after all that. She will. It looks like this is going to be that wake up call that Marge needed in order for her to kind of finally start taking all the stuff that Lily has been trying to tell her seriously, instead of just being preoccupied with playing patty cake with the 62 mean girls. She needed a wake up call, and she got it at the cost of an eye. And it's very interesting. It's very Odin like from Norse mythology in a sense, where Odin literally has to sacrifice one of his own eyes to gain knowledge. And Marge, in a sense, sacrificed one of her eyes and now has gained knowledge as to what is really going on. So it's very kind of Odin-like, her losing her eye in that manner and gaining knowledge as a result of it.
I mean, a knowledge and empathy, because this girl, as she is a child after all, so we can only fault her so much. She had no empathy, even though she could understand and process that her friend had been through a lot and she's saying
Yeah.
all of the right words. She
Mhm.
doesn't empathize. She
Yeah.
continues to push it, right? And
Yeah.
to make her friend feel worse. Um, so she gained some empathy. But what I do like, guys, is that I
Almost
am
like she
seeing
had
in
to
the
see it
she
herself.
had to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
She had to see it to believe it, which is something that Periwinkle says.
Exactly.
Like some people will not believe it until they see it, until they
Exactly.
experience it. That's when they will believe you.
Yeah.
But I do like that our chat is always so objective. There are some people that are saying March did not deserve it.
Yeah, I love how it's split. I love that. It's almost split down the middle now with 53% for yes, 47% for no. So I love that. It's kind of split almost right down the middle. And that's great. I love seeing both sides.
Yeah, very objective, super objective. So I do like that. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, we know that she wears a patch, but she only wears it on one eye.
Yes. Yes. It looks like she lost one of her eyes. It looks like she successfully kind of poked out one of her own eyes, thinking she was cutting this Pennywise, infection off of her. So it looks like she pops out one of her own eyes, but the other one is still okay. And because yeah, we see her in some of the other trailers, she's just got that patch over one of her eyes, and the other one's fine. So yeah, she lost an eye. She lost an eye to herself, or to the psychological trauma and psychological aspects of Pennywise. And again, this is sometimes where Pennywise is at his best. Not when he's, being like super gory and super CGI gory, when he's psychologically tormenting these people to the point where they're doing this to themselves. That is some of the scarier aspects of Pennywise. I mean, blood and gore and all of that, any horror movie, any horror story can do that. But to scare you psychologically, that's something that not every horror story can do, not every horror character can do, like Pennywise can. So I very much like the psychological aspect of his attacks a lot more than the kind of gory CGI.
I mean, yeah, and it seems like that's all he has. So from the story that was told to us, he's confined even just to the forest, because the Native American children and the Native American people would be okay. They were okay as long as they didn't step foot in the forest. So it
Mhm.
makes me think, if we put that story together with what we see, that he has no access to physically be there with the children. He can only mentally interact with them, but he can't actually like physically be there. It has to be very specific. Now we have a line, a radius that we need to figure out, where
Yeah,
does it actually end.
and
um
begin. Yeah. Mhm.
exactly, because when Will's father says, I actually see physical signs that he was attacked by something,
Yep.
he happened to be in the forest fishing. So for all
Within
we
the
know,
radius.
he could have been within the radius. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, he must have been, right? Yeah. If Pennywise kind of swim up to him in the form of a fish and then dive down and turn into his dad all burnt, yeah, they must have been smack dab within that radius somewhere. And yeah, that's the question. How big is this radius? How big are these woods, and how much territory does he have to roam free in? Um, and but yeah, again, very interesting change, at least from the lore and the source material, in terms of why he's stuck in Derry, Maine. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens if he ends up breaking free of his confines. If these pillars end up getting moved and messed with, will that free him in a sense? I
I
guess we'll
mean,
find.
now they really have changed the rules. Now the
Yeah,
general, who we
yeah,
were all thinking this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard, like maybe he's not wrong. Now all of the sudden what he wants is a possibility. And it looks
yeah,
like he does not care. Now they know that they need to be wary of this creature, but they do not care. They know
mhm,
about the cycles, they know they have a limited amount of time, and it
yeah.
turns out that he might not be crazy after all.
Maybe not. Maybe not. And Minerva also brings up, I hope Lily doesn't get blamed for Marge, because that's right. Lily did get caught in a very compromising position when they did finally come and find Marge, and see that her eye was all messed up. You got Lily on top of her, literally holding the screwdriver in her hand like she just got done fucking shoving it right in her face. So yeah, Lily's looking a little sus here in this scene. Of course, we know she didn't do anything, but you know, I mean, this is not an easy thing to explain here, Lily. You got her blood all over you. You got the weapon in your hand. This is tough. This looks very guilty for you. But I imagine Marge will probably say Lily didn't do it. Hopefully, maybe that will get her name cleared, I guess, because I don't believe anything. I don't believe Lily gets in any trouble from this. Based on any of the scenes we've seen in the trailer, it looks like Lily and Marge start teaming up together, and Marge kind of just joins this version of the Losers Club. So I don't think Lily gets in trouble for this, and I imagine Marge is probably going to say that Lily didn't do this. But yeah, looks sus.
I mean, not only does it look suspicious, but this is an unintentionally funny moment to me, because as soon as the kids walked in and she's like, All I could think about is like she's like, you're probably wondering how I got here,
You're probably
but I
wondering how he got here, right? Yeah.
but I didn't do this, right? It's like the worst of times.
Yeah.
Um, I was thinking they made a big deal of the patty cake setting Lily up. They really emphasized that to us. They did it
Yeah.
for a reason. So I'm thinking, even if Marge says, no, she didn't do this to me, the patty
Mhm.
cake would say, well, we were about to like play a joke on her. She probably found out, got angry, and
Yeah.
stabbed her.
Yeah.
That's what
Motive.
she did. Even
It
and Marge is
establishes
just
motive.
afraid.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It establishes motive as to why Lily might do something like this. So not only is she caught in this compromising position, but now there's an actual motive that can be firmly established as to why she might have a grudge against Marge. So yeah, not looking good. Not looking good.
And the patty cakes are not gonna want Marge. Like you are messing with mean girls. They're the popular girls in school. They don't hang out with kids that wear eye patches. Unfortunately, when you want to be a mean girl, like it is a tough game being a mean girl. One
Yeah,
minute you're in, and the next minute, if you're not looking the way they want you to look, you're out. So
yeah,
I think
and
after losing an eye, the patty cakes are not gonna want March to begin with. They couldn't
yeah.
stand her little cardigan. Imagine the patch.
Imagine this. Imagine the patch. Yeah, yeah. I think she's going to be kicked out of the club for sure. And like you said, it's always interesting to see the chat kind of divided in terms of did Marge deserve this or not. Now we're at 59% says yes, she did deserve it, and 41% says no, Marge didn't deserve it. So again, kind of close to split still. And Golden Child says, I don't think she deserved it since she was on the brink of confessing before Pennywise took it. There was that aspect to it. I mean, Marge initially agreed to this and agreed to do this, but right as she was about to do it, like you said, it did look like she might have had a change of heart there and was going to kind of warn Lily what was happening. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I do like that you guys are giving her the benefit of the doubt because like you guys are saying in the chat, you can only judge a child so much because they do not have that emotional development yet. They're learning to interact with others and they're learning empathy, they're learning how to be a good friend. They
Yeah,
don't know that yet. So it is difficult to say that she deserved that trauma. Um, but the
yeah,
world is an unfair world. I mean, look at everything that has happened to Lily.
yeah.
A lot has happened to Lily.
Mhm.
I know that you're saying that they're going to get over this, right? They're going to get through it and they're going to rekindle their friendship. March and Lily do not need to be friends. Maybe March can learn to be a better friend to another person, not to Lily. I feel like
Mhm.
once you're learning your lesson with me, go be a better friend to somebody else. Too
Mhm.
many bridges have been burned. It's she's dangerous around Lily. I think she's using Lily as a punching bag. She uses her to her advantage. She hurts her so that she could look good. That's a dangerous friend.
It's not a good friend to have. Yeah, it's definitely not the real kind of friend you want to have. Really having your back and in your corner for sure. And yeah, as Miss Chambers brings up, I mean, she's a hateable character, but Jesus, for a 12-year-old to hack out her own eye, Jesus, I mean, it is pretty nuts. Yeah, it is pretty nuts. And Golden Child brings up a good point as well. It's different when you're judging kids; they're still growing mentally, and that's a very good point. These are still children. Their brain isn't fully developed. Their decision making skills are not fully developed, not quite sharpened yet. So it's not like you're judging the actions of a kind of fully cognizant adult. Absolutely. You're judging the actions of a growing child that sometimes, while they know right from wrong, cannot process information as well as an adult can in moments like this. So we are judging children. So it is a bit of a different standard for sure. I voted no, but I voted no. She's trash, but it's too extreme.
She's
I
trash.
think it is extreme. It
I thought
is.
that you would have some Pam Jam. I thought you would have like a kindred heart towards her because she's like patty cake, Pam Jam. but
Mhm.
she's trash. I mean, we don't know anything about her home life. So I was thinking about that. We know about the other children
Mhm.
and their home setup. We yet don't know anything about Marge. If she has both parents at home, what does her home life look like, right? Is she maybe, does she have trauma like all of the other children? So if we were to know that, maybe we would empathize with her. We would understand why she's such a
Mhm.
mean girl.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, maybe. And that's the thing with having only 8 episodes and multiple different characters. Sometimes you just don't have enough time to delve into all of these characters' backstories and give us as the audience, proper backstories on all of these characters. Which we would like to have, but that's the problem with these short seasons. They just there's so much stuff that they have to cut out or can't focus on. Marge will be Pennywise food by the end of the season. Ooh, interesting. Is Marge going to be on the chopping block? Will she deserve it? Will she survive it? I mean, survive the season. Lily deserves what's coming to her, says Samuel. Hopefully. Maybe Lily still got some stuff coming to her. Maybe. Good stuff. Good stuff. But we get to the beginning of the episode, and of course, and we had a feeling this was going to happen. The picture that they snapped. There's no, in no reality does it ever prove anything, unfortunately. But these are children. This is, their last shot. They're a shot in the dark to try and help Ronnie's dad. But as we see, the cops very much kind of laughed them out of the room and said, "Keep your nose out of police business." And again, we kind of had a feeling this was going to be the case. We had a feeling that this photo was never going to prove anything. Doesn't prove much of anything. Hell, they thought it was a freaking statue. So back to square one for the children. Unfortunately, it looks like Ronnie's dad is not going to be getting out anytime soon. Although we did see that Will's mother is visiting Ronnie's dad now and is also kind of taking up his case in a sense where she's trying to get him off as well. And at least now we also got some more information, at least about Ronnie's dad, where he really was that night and why he's so reluctant to tell the truth, which, in his position does make a lot of sense. Um, we find out that he wasn't home that night. Of course, he was off with a woman. And of course, being as this is 1962 Derry, Maine, and he was having relations with, interracial relations, he's very scared to admit that, and rightfully so. So he is facing murder charges, or would rather face murder charges than come out and tell the truth because he feels like at that point he'd be facing, the mob.
I mean, it's not just the fact that this was a white woman, because he could play the card of we fell in love, and it could be, he could be likable to a jury if he says we just happen to be, you know, different races, we fell in love. She's a married white woman.
Yes,
So
it's even worse, yeah.
her being a married white woman definitely paints them in a bad light because they're not going to empathize with a
No.
quote unquote homebreaker. He's wrecking some white man's marriage. If he confesses to the truth, he also has to give them the identity of what white woman that is married is sleeping with him. So he would essentially have to also kind of give up her identity. And maybe he's trying to keep her from any consequences. And I'm wondering who it is. I immediately thought,
I
being
think
messy, like, I hope it's the cop's wife,
the cop's wife would be
the mean
very
cop.
interesting, but my first thought was it is, what's her name? Madeline Stowe's character.
Lily's mom.
Well, Lily's mom might be interesting, but I thought Madeline Stowe's character, the older periwinkle.
Oh, is she married?
I don't know. I mean, she at some point she is introduces herself as Mrs. Kirsch. So she must marry into the Kirsch family at some point. Maybe she married into the Kirsch family, and maybe she is married. But if not, I mean, is Lily? Well, Lily's mom isn't married either. His her husband's dead, so it can't be her. Um, so yeah, who could it be? I mean, again, it might be no one. It might just be someone inconsequential, some no-name character that doesn't have anything to do with the plot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Madeline Stowe's character popped into my brain at first. But again, like you said, I don't know if we don't even know if she's married or not.
I do like the
The
idea
cop's wife
because
is a good one. I like the cop's wife. That is a good one.
I
Like
mean, can
out
you
of all
imagine the
things,
interrogation? Like,
well,
where
the
were you
irony,
on Sunday?
the
It's like, I
irony.
didn't do that.
You
I
know,
was at your house.
I was at your house, fucker.
I was
Yeah.
at your house with your wife.
Yeah, sorry, I did not commit these murders. I was committing a different kind of murder at your house. Yeah, that would be very an interesting cosmic, karmic, turn of events, if nothing else. But yeah, who knows? I mean, if it's not the cop's wife, I mean, it might just be nobody. It might just be some no-name character, some unnamed character, just for the simple fact that it was, a white woman that he slept with, and that's why he's worried about saying anything. But the cop's wife would be funny. That would be really fucking funny. That would be hilarious. But yeah, it looks like he is at least going to be going to Shawshank for a little bit, but she's hopeful that she'll be able to get him out to while he can fight this trial. But we'll see. We shall
Yeah,
see.
and you were right about
Let's see
that,
what else.
about how the activism was going to connect with the story. You were right about that. We were wondering, they keep mentioning that she is very much Charlotte into activism and where that
Mm,
was going to come full circle and connect. And you were right.
yeah,
It's going to be through trying to help him
trying to get him.
avoid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
mm, yeah, yeah, trying to get him to avoid jail. And it
Yeah.
looks like, and it's interesting because at this time, in 1962, if he were to get sent to Shawshank Prison, this is the exact time period that Andy is locked up in Shawshank Prison. Tim Robbins, the main character of Shawshank Redemption, the main character in the film, and Morgan Freeman's character, they're both currently locked up in Shawshank right now during the events of It Welcome to Derry during 1962. So talk about the mother of all crossovers right there. Mother of all crossovers. But we also saw this in this episode as well, and they're definitely been setting this up a little bit more each episode. But today in episode 4, Dick Halloran and his friends finally got the location, which they can set up their own jazz club, the Black Spot. Very much the beginning of setting up the whole Black Spot incident that is going to be culminating at some point in the end of the season. So yeah, I mean, Dick, he did what he could. He used his stature that he has within the military because how valuable he is to them, and he got them their own little jazz club that they're going to fix up. And boy, yeah, this is going to be the scene of some pretty big scenes towards the end of season 1. It looks like.
Yeah, and we get to see another interaction. And I'm telling you, I really like Dick Halloran as a friend. He's a really good friend. He's following through, he's doing what he has to do, but he's making sure that they have a place to hang out and to be happy. Great friend. We get to see another interaction with Dick Halloran and Leroy. And they keep having an interaction that is not super positive and super friendly, even though
Yeah.
Dick Halloran, yeah, he keeps being nice to Leroy. He keeps saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, thank you so much for that home cooked meal. I slept great," and being very charismatic and kind and nice. But Leroy
Mhm.
always kind of approaches him in a way that's, one, very aggressive, two, definitely not friendly, and three, he's not going to get what he's after when he's treating him in that manner. He's treating him in a manner where it's almost like he feels that he is superior to him and he has to give him answers. He's being really aggressive. I thought that maybe this would be the beginning of them working together because now he
Mhm.
wants to save his child from what he's seeing. We know that Leroy is actually seeing the red balloons, which
Yes.
usually it's the children that see the balloons, but
Yeah.
this time it's an adult. And he's coming at Dick Halloran in a way that I don't think he's gonna get what he's after.
Mhm.
I mean, it's that saying, right? Like you get more bees with honey.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And Dick Halloran, he's at the point now where he doesn't even know really yet. He doesn't even know what this thing really is. He just know that it's dark, it's cold, it's evil, and it's powerful. He doesn't know what this is. He doesn't even want to pursue it. We've seen him try to dissuade the general and tell him that maybe this thing is better off left alone and left buried. But yeah, and again, we get some interesting developments here where Leroy finally has his first, not official run in with the kind of supernatural elements of the town, but kind of indirectly. We see him and his son, of course, fishing in the river, and he takes off to go get a new fly to fish to fix his son's pole, and boom, that's when Pennywise or it attacks and pulls Will under the water. And of course, Leroy gets there just in time to kind of pull him out. But, Leroy sees this and now he's thinking, okay, whatever this thing is, because one of the things Will tells him is there's something bad here in Derry. And of course, as soon as he hears that, I have to imagine the first thing Leroy is thinking is whatever it is the same thing we're freaking hunting. He obviously it's not hard to put two and two together that these two are one and the same. So at this point, his own family is at risk. His own family has been personally affected now by this job that he is doing for the general. And we see how upset he gets to the point where he marches right onto the base with no appointment, nothing, just barges right through the door and confronts the general and asks him, "What is this? What are we chasing?" To the point now where it's even threatening my own family.
And let me tell you, the general is not going to care. He does not
No,
care.
no,
They have a mission and they're going to accomplish that mission. And
yeah,
usually that's how Leroy also tends to operate. The only difference is that he's used to being able to operate in a way where his family is not affected. This time
yeah,
around, his family and his child will is directly affected. Pennywise wants to eat him. If
yeah,
he wins, he's probably going to take Leroy's child, and the
mhm,
general is not going to care. I really changed my mind about the general because
yeah.
I was thinking there's a possibility because of his interaction when he was a child with Pennywise
You'll
that
have
he
some
could
empathy.
understand them.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's some empathy that he would understand the magnitude of what they're trying to do and want to keep Pennywise away from the world. But he doesn't care. He does not care about Dick Halloran, and if he gets hurt, he doesn't care about Leroy or his family.
no,
And Leroy does have a bargaining chip. He is the only person that
yes,
has the ability to not experience fear. So he does have a bargaining chip where he could kind of get some control or power over that, but not too much. At the end of the day, he's going to have to do his job.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like you said, Leroy's not powerless. He's not completely powerless in this situation. He does have, some cards to play. He does have some leverage, as it were, with him, being so unique. Shaw went through, all of these measures to test Leroy to see if he was the right man for the job. Went to all of these different lengths to recruit him. He's valuable, and I think Leroy knows that. I think he knows he's valuable. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see where that goes, how this relationship continues to develop between Leroy Halloran and General Shaw. Because I get the feeling as things start to get worse and worse, we're going to continue to see Halloran and Leroy probably continue to try and convince the general that this is something we should be leaving alone. But like you said, is the general the type of person to ever give up his search? He might not be. He might not ever give up his search, not until it kills him, and it might very well kill him. They keep teasing Pennywise. What happened in Marge's eye was very brutal, says Drew. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're definitely setting up Pennywise. They've been doing the slow burn for now, very much kind of, teasing it here and there. But these last 3 episodes looks like we're going to be getting a ton of Pennywise. And I mean a ton of Pennywise. Before the stream, I went and took a quick look at every single shot of Pennywise that we have seen. In all of the trailers combined, every single trailer, I went and grabbed a shot of every single Pennywise, every single shot of Pennywise. And these are all going to be what we're going to be seeing in these final 3 episodes. So while we didn't get a whole lot of Pennywise up until this point, while they have been teasing it, the final 3 episodes, episode 5, the final 4 episodes, excuse me, from episode 5 on, we are going to be getting a ton of Pennywise. And I mean an absolute ton of Pennywise. They used him super sparingly in the first half of the season, but we have a ton of him to look forward to in the second half of the season, starting in next week's episode. Anybody who saw the preview for episode 5, then you guys already saw. We get a very good look at Pennywise in next week's episode, and quite a few good looks at him just from the trailer alone. So here we go. We got every single shot of Pennywise. This was the first one that was ever shown in any of the trailers. Not very big. We got the black and white one, which is going to be coming. We got the bloody Pennywise. I get the feeling this is probably going to be towards the end of the season during the black spot incident, judging by the fire in the background. So this is probably going to be towards the end. We got this other one of him down in the sewer. This is probably going to be one of the earlier shots of him. We got the infamous pole shot Pennywise. And I know, PM, this is one of your favorites. You cannot wait to see him sliding down this pole and doing his little Pennywise dance.
He looks so cute. I mean, tell me that he does not look cute in that still shot. It's the perfect still shot of him. And he has this little smile. I'm wondering who is he doing this little pole dance for? So yeah,
is it the kids or is it someone else potentially? Yeah, good question. But there we got pole dancing Pennywise. Then we have this version of Pennywise. This is another version of him down in the sewer, kind of screaming and running towards the children, towards Lily and the children. From what I'm told, this is going to be the first appearance that we get of Pennywise on the show. Like the first real appearance, apparently, we're going to be getting has reportedly been this shot right here of him down in that sewer. Here's his mouth coming towards the camera. So we'll see. We'll see if those reports are accurate, if that was indeed true, that this is the first time we see him on screen when he's doing this kind of charging towards the camera shot. We shall see. Another shot of Pennywise, most likely during the black spot incident, probably towards the end of the season. We got this interesting one of him down the sewers again. This was another one of him on the pole. Very interesting promo shot of him on the pole. We see the pole right behind him right after he's done swinging on it. We have some flashback shots of Pennywise to him actually dancing in the circus. These are some of the other ones that we've seen in various trailers and promos that we haven't seen on the show yet. So it looks like we are still going to get some flashbacks to actual Pennywise during his circus days. Looks like that is coming. We got this one who might not even be Pennywise. We were talking about this the other night, Pam, and you brought it up too. In terms of this potentially might not even being Pennywise, but this being the silhouette of actually Periwinkle, especially when we look at the hair and how close the hair is to Periwinkle's hair, and doesn't look anything like Pennywise's hair. When we look at Pennywise currently, as he's going to be showing up, no bells, no periwinkle bells, nothing like that. This is the silhouette of Pennywise hair. This is the silhouette of Periwinkle's hair. So yeah, you were 100% right about that. I don't think this is Pennywise in the slightest. This looks very much like it was Periwinkle, and we even have a comparison to look at. Here is Periwinkle. You got the bells, you got the same kind of shape head there. Looks like this very much is Periwinkle and not Pennywise.
And I will say, however, there is a problem with the picture.
Mhm.
Yes, a lot of people are seeing Periwinkle's hair. However, the silhouette of the actual clown
The
costume,
dress does
that
look like
is
Pennywise.
Pennywise.
Looks
So what you
Pennywise.
have is Pennywise's outfit with Periwinkle's hair, which is why it's complicated. You can't certainly say that it's Periwinkle because her outfit is loose, completely loose. It's flowing. And Pennywise's is very much cinched at the waist with big bellowing arms. And that's exactly the outfit that we're seeing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that arm, that's a man's arm. I think
It
that
does look, and the height of the height of it as well, it definitely looked a lot taller than, like, a young Periwinkle, and, Periwinkle was this size and this age in 1908. If she's alive in current day Derry, which I think she is, I think she's Madeline Stowe's character. I think Madeline Stowe's character is the older version of Periwinkle. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange shot because it doesn't match any of its hair, it doesn't match any of Pennywise's hair, but the body does look like Pennywise's body, but it doesn't look like his head. So it's confusing.
yeah, and Madeline's character that we have seen, which we got to see a little bit of her, is petite. So her arm wouldn't match that arm that looks bulky.
Yeah.
I did really like that we got to see Madeline again, and she's wearing this clown hint
Mm,
sort of like outfit with the
yeah.
red cardigan and the polka dots. It was giving clown.
Very clown vibes. But like I feel like every time we see her, she's got red on in some kind of capacity, whether it's her clothes, as you mentioned, her red lipstick. Every time we see her, she's got some kind of red on. Yeah, it just seems like the hints are stacking up more and more and more that she was Periwinkle.
Yeah. And to me, it's like we still don't know. She's still very interesting because we don't know if she's going to be a helper to the children or not. Something tells me that she's not really going to help Lily. There's something sinister about the way she smiles
Yeah,
at
very,
Lily
very
and
much.
the way that Lily's getting closer to her. She
Yeah,
should not be seeing children outside of the facility and
very
should be
unprofessional.
contacting the parent. So it makes me think there's something insidious. She's probably overtaken by Pennywise.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely gives off some creepy vibes. She 100% gives off some creepy vibes, Madeline Stowe's character. So yeah, I don't think whatever her interest is in Lily, I don't think it's altruistic. Absolutely not. But continuing, we also have the other black and white shots of Pennywise that we're going to be getting in some of those other flashback scenes. We got another shot of Pennywise during the black spot incident. More black spot Pennywise. Some of these shots of him during the black spot incident with the freaking fire in the background, like some of these shots really do just look so fucking good, man. They just look so good. This is probably one of my favorites right here. I love this shot. The nice silhouette of him in the back there, the fire. This is just a beautifully contrasted shot. Again, I like the kind of fire and ice duality that it invokes between that one and this one. This is probably my favorite shot overall of Pennywise that we've seen in any of the trailers. Cannot wait to see this scene. But I got to hand it to the cinematography for it. Welcome to Derry, in particular for the Bill Skarsgård scenes when he's actually on screen as Pennywise. We got these just really great contrasting shots that they have a ton of, and they really know how to use his silhouette to great effect. Pennywise has a very interesting and distinct silhouette, and they throw his shadow and his silhouette all over the place, even from the very beginning of the season. In episode 1, when Maddie is running out of the theater, there's a shadow on the wall in the shape of Pennywise. Like his silhouette and his shadow is all over the place. And again, they very much do use it to great effect in these shots. And you got to, when you have a silhouette this iconic, you got to have some of these kind of shadowy shots like this, and they all look freaking great. They really do. The cinematography has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. More black and white Pennywise, more pull Pennywise. Pennywise in the fog. Very much looking forward to the fog episode. Hopefully that'll be next week or episode 6, the latest. We got Blood Pennywise that we'll be seeing later on. And then we have this interesting kind of chart, as it were, of all of the different forms of Pennywise that we apparently are going to be seeing in season 1. Now, if we look closely, we've seen some of these forms already. We've seen the mutant baby. That one we saw already. We saw Skeleton Man. We just saw Skeleton Man last week. We saw Pickle Dad already, Pickle Dad in a jar. So these are all forms that it or Pennywise has already taken on the show. And then we see some other ones that we haven't seen yet. Here we have black and white Pennywise, which we just saw some shots of that we were just looking at. So we know we're going to see this one at some point. Here we have blood Pennywise, and we saw that shot of him just a minute ago, him covered in blood. So we know we're going to get that at some point. So if that's the case, it looks like we're probably also going to be getting a clown stew Pennywise and a winged Pennywise. And this is the one I want to see the most. I want to see this winged bat style Pennywise. Basically, it looks just like a diagram of all of the different shapes that he's going to be taking on the show, with his original true form, the Deadlights, smacked right in the middle.
The Deadlights. Let's talk about the Deadlights, guys. So one thing that we learned when they were telling us the story of how Pennywise arrived on Earth is that when he's talking to the Native American warrior that's fighting him off, he says, "Now you will meet my God." So he's referring to the lights as his God. And you see that the lights are about to like come up behind him. He's kind of going to show her the deadlights, and her child comes in. And so he doesn't, he runs away, but he refers to them as my God. Now you will meet my God. And I was interested in, what does that actually mean? What did he mean by that? They are changing the story. So at this point, if they wanted to come up with a specific other story for the deadlights, they could. If they wanted to make them separate from Pennywise, they could, because that's what it was looking like the deadlights are separate from him.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at this point, the show has changed quite a lot from the original source material in terms of the lore around Pennywise, with, you know, these 12 beacons, these weapons that are keeping him trapped and all of this. So, like, this is all, they've changed quite a lot. So at that point, yeah, I mean, I suppose there's really anything they could do. They could probably change more if they wanted to. If they wanted to do a little bit of a different take on the deadlights, make it something that was that Pennywise, got a source of power from or something, as opposed to it actually being his real and true form. I guess you really never know what the show is going to do, because again, they do kind of have a blank canvas. This isn't an adaptation of it the book. That's already been adapted. This is an adaptation of just the little bit of information we get in the interludes. So it's largely unexplored territory. They can really do a ton of stuff that they can just make up on their own. So I suppose it's possible that they could, change the lore a little bit more. They've already changed a good amount of it already. So yeah, who knows?
I do like how the chat is talking about Pennywise's figure, talking about how iconic his figure is. It really is. I love the outfit and the hair. He's such a diva. That's the thing about Pennywise. Pennywise is fun. He's this horrible entity that we should not like, but he's likable. He's likable because he has fun with what he's doing. Really, he loves his job. And that blue picture that you have, and of course you like fire and ice. Why wouldn't you, right? It's so you. But the blue picture, it looks like he's in his pose where he's doing his strut, the Pennywise strut, walking towards somebody. So he's iconic. He has it all. I love his strut. I love the figure that you could right away tell, like, that's what he's doing. That's Pennywise. Love it.
It's the most, it's super recognizable. It's so recognizable when you see that silhouette. And yeah, I mean, this scene in particular, I cannot wait to see this scene, to see him kind of creeping up on who I think might be Marge. Because if we remember, we do get another scene in in one of the other trailers of this same fog scene where something kind of grabs Marge and pulls her into the fog away from the rest of the group. We see her glasses fall off of her head, and we see her kind of like screaming as she's getting dragged away. So this might be Marge. This might be Marge that Pennywise is walking up on. But yeah, this is definitely has been one of my favorite shots in all of the trailers. I think I do have it.
Down with the clown.
Ah,
Yeah.
great shot.
He's
Great
doing the
shot.
Pennywise strat. He's gonna have a
Pennywise
problem
walk.
with Marge. It's like, what the hell do you think you're doing, Marge? I'm in charge of terrorizing the children, not you. Marge is stepping on his game. He's the one that's supposed to make them afraid and mess with their head. And Marge
Mhm.
is trying to mess with Lily. So potentially that's why he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Exactly. You know, just the continued psychological assault, not just on Marge physically, but psychologically on Lily and the rest of them. You know, he likes playing his games. He likes playing with his food. He likes seasoning up that meat with as much fear as he possibly can. So yeah, it's you know, he likes to torture his victims for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, this is and again, we speaking of his forms, we got some really great forms of Pennywise in this episode, or of it in this episode, towards the end. And you guys know me, I haven't been the hugest fan of some of the CGI on the show from time to time. But the effects that we got in this episode, I thought looked absolutely phenomenal when we saw some of these other forms that it has taken on, especially in some of these past flashbacks. But this was interesting. We got, you know, they kind of laid out the whole origin story, you know, about you know, it first landing on Earth millions of years before humanity even evolved on Earth, before there even was humans, and how he had to kind of you know, in the book he kind of just slumbered for millions of years until the area that later became known as Derry, Maine, started to become populated. But here we get a similar, but a little bit of, you know, small changes here and there, but we get a nice origin story from him. And we get the extensive kind of history that it has with the Native Americans. Again, this was a bit of a deviation. You know, Andy Muschietti's been building up his own kind of lore, his own kind of history between these Native American tribes and it. And we learned just about all of it in this episode. We learned pretty much a quick little rundown, at least the cliff notes on almost their entire history. And it hasn't been good, you know, not for a long shot, but they were successfully able to at least contain him to a certain extent to the confines of the woods, which are now Derry, Maine, most likely. I guess it'll be interesting to see how big the circumference is. Is it just the confines of Derry, Maine? Can he go out of it? Like, how big is this territory really? Which I imagine we'll probably find out a little bit more of. But you know, when we see him attacking the tribe at the end, this was some of the best effects I've seen yet on the show. Again, I haven't been a huge fan of the CGI up until, you know, now. But in this episode, we got to see it in some really cool and interesting forms. And for the most part, they all looked really good. Like, even the moose didn't look like super terrible. But the rest of the shots, very practical. Like, look at how good this looks. Look at how good that looks. This is how good the practical effects can look on this show. When you have a character like it who can turn into literally anything, anyone's worst nightmares, you know, and considering the readily available technology that is out there and available for filmmaking in terms of getting some of the best practical looking effects ever, there really is no excuse. There really isn't a huge need to use a ton of CGI. But like you said, it's a stylistic choice for Andy Muschietti. He loves CGI, and that's just his style. But when he goes practical, man, it looks good.
It does. It looked good. I like the story. I really like what they're working into the story. The Gulu. as it's called, that would take the form of their deepest fears. So they know a lot. They know a lot about Pennywise. They're not working with Pennywise in the dark. Will figure it out so quickly. I was very amazed. I thought it was going to take the children like billions of years, but no, they got together and Will knows the answer. And he did say, like, I hate being right, but of course he knows the answer. And
Yeah.
that does look so good. That was my favorite part. The story and how they went through the story of his origin.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, this was definitely one of the better parts of the episode for sure. And again, I can't praise the practical effects enough. For as much as I don't like some of the CGI, I love the practical effects that they're using on the show because this looked phenomenal. This looked so freaking good to see it and all of these creepy forms based on all of these Native American legends that that they feared at that during that time. So this was great. This was a really good scene. We got another great one here. Really looks good. The earlier moose one, someone said in the chat, looks like a Wendigo. Definitely had that Wendigo kind of vibe to it for sure, 100%. And there is actually a precedent for that in the book. It is described as taking on a sort of Wendigo-like kind of form. So that is kind of book inspired as well. But yeah, the forms that he took in this episode just looked so good. It looks so much better than some of the CGI scenes I've seen. I love these practical shots. Oh yeah, very good. Incredibly good at practical shots. I wish I could play more, but I can't risk it. But yeah, super impressed with the effects for episode 4. Super impressed. Big step up from some of the shots we've seen in the past, I thought.
Yeah, and I feel like now we get the hang of the stylistic choices that they're making. I'm getting the hang of it. It's campy, it's out there, and I'm liking what they're using. I like where they're going. I think it's lighthearted. And how can a show that is about eating children be lighthearted? It is. It has its lighthearted moments. And I'm really
Mhm.
liking how we get to see that Pennywise is not all that the creature is. It's an ancient thing that came from a star, apparently. Um,
Mhm.
so that kind of changed too. It wasn't Pennywise on its own arriving. He came from a star. I thought that was interesting.
Well, he arrived with a star, like you
With
rode a
a star, like
star.
inside of a star.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You know, and again, they keep that they're sticking to the lore a bit in a sense, but they're making some small alterations to kind of put their own spin on some of these backstories, in terms of the comet hitting the Earth and cracking free and him escaping and all of that. Like there's some interesting deviations and slight alterations to some of the original material, but it's similar. It's very similar to his origin in the book, in terms of him coming here from beyond our universe and crashing in the area that would later become Derry, Maine. So very similar. But yeah, we saw some more interesting forms of him taking at the end of the episode for the during again, this scene was great. This was a really good scene to end the episode off on. I love that they used some good practical effects here. And we just see all of these different kind of fears, all of these different manifestations of these fears that Native American people would have feared right around that time. Again, like the Wendigo style kind of moose creature, all of these undead ghoul type creatures. Uh, just super A for effort for using beautiful practical effects in this one instead of just relying solely on heavy CGI. But what about you, PM? What was, when looking at the episode? Actually, let me take care of this first, and then I want to ask you and everybody else in the chat what your favorite scene was so far. But first, we got Wall St. Tech for 567, the past Carnival Sideshow exhibits were somewhat frightening. This probably explains things. I mean, again, you look at some of these traveling carnivals from back in the day, from centuries ago, and yeah, some of the attractions, some of the exhibits, some of the shows that they would put on would be terrifying. Would scare the crap out of children back then. So yeah, it makes perfect sense for him to be taking on some of these kind of forms. Like that, these are stuff right out of children's worst nightmares. Some of these things were at some of these traveling circuses. So yeah, it's super very fitting for him to kind of glean and get some inspiration from some of the things he sees at some of these circuses.
Yeah, I mean, and Samuel is saying it in the chat. The freak shows that they used to have historically, the circus has been a place of abuse. Like that is just the truth. A lot
Yeah,
of people were having fun. Of course, you're going to the circus, but historically, it is a place of animal abuse. It
yeah,
is a place where you have traveling families.
yeah,
Um, when we see Periwinkle and she's traveling in the circus with her dad, she's not attending school. This is a
no,
little clown that has
yeah,
been taught to do her clown shows, but she's not part of society.
yeah.
You
She's
know,
not being
she's
taught
just,
math and history.
they're just on the road. And back in the day, if there was anything that was wrong with you, it would become an exhibit so that
Yeah,
they could go around town and show everybody what exactly was wrong with you and terrify people.
yeah,
I mean, when we're talking about this wall sound tech, it makes me think in the circus, out of everything that was in the circus, the clowns were what children liked. Like that was the least terrifying thing in the circus. And clowns are still horrifying and like terrifying, but they were like a big hit for children. It was the least of the terrifying acts. But yeah, totally right. That explains everything. That explains why we're seeing different things that he's morphing into, and they're all from those shows. Oh,
sorry. It's fitting. I mean, it's super fitting for the time period. It's these things were again. So, and this is why I love the show Carnival. It's always one of those shows that I will always be so devastated that it got canceled on HBO. But Carnival was a very interesting show that was based around this supernatural kind of story about good and evil, but it was set in the confines of a traveling circus, a traveling carnival set in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl down in Mississippi, down in the South during the 30s, the Dust Bowl, and during the Depression. So the setting was I love these period correct kind of shows to begin with, but when you add the supernatural aspect to it and you got to see a real look at what these carnivals looked like what these traveling carnivals really looked like back in the day. Like you said, PM, it wasn't pleasant. There was a lot of dark stuff that would happen at some of these shows in order to get the shows that people would pay to see money for. And Carnival was always one of those really great shows that they were really good at depicting the kind of darker side of the carnival. So disappointing that show got canceled. But yeah, I imagine we're going to get a lot more of the carnival scenes. We got still plenty of episodes left, and we know they're going to be diving a little bit more into Periwinkle. We know we're going to be getting some Bob Gray stuff. We know we're going to be getting some more carnival scenes. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's the stuff I really want to see the most, between that and all of the interactions we're going to get between Pennywise and Dick Halloran. Those have been the two most intriguing parts of the show for me up until this point. But yeah, we're going to get some more carnival for sure. And you are absolutely right. They were frightening back then. They were very frightening. Very, very, very frightening. And there it is. Yeah, it was Crooked Commish. Yeah, that animal that versus natives reminded me of the Wendigo. It did. It definitely looked a little Wendigo-esque. And again, in the book itself, it does take on the form of a Wendigo at some point. That is one of the forms that he has reportedly been spotted in as. So yeah, and again, the Wendigo would make sense for at least someone in the Native American tribe to fear something like a Wendigo, with that being a heavy Native American folklore. and creature, encrypted creature. Samuel says perspective, but I doubt the native know about the macroverse. To them, it came from a falling star or some shit. And that's another good point as well, Samuel. They can only interpret what they see using the knowledge that they have available to them. They can only explain what they see and use what tools they have to rationally explain it. So to them, seeing a comet hit the Earth, yeah, to them it probably looks like a star falling, hitting the Earth and cracking free and evil flowing out of it. So it is a matter of perspective. You're absolutely right. It's a matter of how much knowledge do you have about this thing that is really happening? And again, they can only describe it in terms that make sense to them.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right, Samuel. For all we know, the dagger has no power, but it's just the power of belief. Because after all, how you defeat Pennywise, how we have seen that you could not essentially defeat him, but make him back up, is by believing that you are not scared. And if an entire community believes that there is power in this dagger, maybe that's where it derives its power from. Not necessarily because it's powerful, but because the community believes it so. So that's interesting. But how did we get the information? Let's talk about The Shining. Finally, we get to see The Shining and all of its glory. That's one of my favorite parts of this episode, which I feel like we got so much information, but we finally got to see how does The Shining work, how powerful is it, and what the whole process is like for Dick Halloran. It seems like it's a painful process for both parties involved. You're on mute. I think you're on mute. Are you?
Yeah, sorry. And like you said, it's not pleasant for either one of them. And even Dick Halloran tells him, what they want me to do to you, it's not going to be pleasant. And I think he meant it's not going to be pleasant for either of us. It's not going to be pleasant for you or for me. Because, yeah, it doesn't look like this is something that is pleasant for Dick Halloran to do either, in terms of like diving into these people's minds, scraping around in their brains to try and find, their, worst fears and, the information that he's looking for. Like, I imagine that's not a super pleasant thing to do, especially for someone that's like a decent human being. And Halloran, for all intensive purposes, in terms of how he is described as being a decent and honorable person who cares about people. So yeah, diving into someone's brain like that, diving into someone's head like that, and kind of searching around, I imagine that's something that is not pleasant for Halloran to do either. It's not something he would want to do, I don't think. But like you said, nonetheless, we did finally get a really nice, interesting glimpse in terms of like what Halloran's really capable of, what this shine ability really looks like when he's using it. And again, this is a young Halloran who isn't even really in touch with the full extent of his powers yet. He's still very young here. He's still got a lot of life to live and a lot more to learn about the shine ability.
Yeah, so we know that he is able to kind of walk through
Oh,
people's memories. It seems like, right? He's walking through his memories to get to the information, like flipping through a book to get to the information that you desire. And I'm thinking now that we see how he's
well, it's
using the
almost like going
shining,
through the door.
going through a
Mhm.
door. Okay, see, how can he use
See all
this
these
against
doors in the background.
Pennywise?
It's almost like
Yeah, so we know
exactly.
that he could see through these doors and go through people's minds, memories, and information that they have. He could see where Pennywise lives. What else can he do? Can he go through Pennywise's mind? What does Pennywise think about? What's in his mind? Could he even comprehend it if he was to go into Pennywise's mind?
Mhm. That's right. I mean, someone remind me. It's been a while since I've read the books, but I do vaguely remember after hearing this from someone the other day. But there is this one instance in the book where Bill kind of gets inside Pennywise's head and kind of like reads his mind, but all they can hear is static. That's it. It's all they can hear. It's like they can only hear static inside of his mind. So that would be interesting to see, what would it look like for somebody like Dick Halloran, for someone with his abilities, for someone who is a psychic, for someone who does have the power to enter other people's minds. What would it look for Halloran to dive into Pennywise's head? I guess, would it be different? Would he just get static too? Or would he maybe be able to pick up a little bit more because he has the shine? But yeah, I remember it was, I totally forgot about that one instance of Bill kind of getting into Pennywise's head and only like hearing static. But yeah, that'll be interesting. Again, this psychic back and forth between Dick Halloran and Pennywise, it is one of the most intriguing aspects of the show, in my opinion. And I think we're going to get some really good scenes between those two characters. So I want to see them interact a lot more. And, because again, even though Pennywise is super powerful, it didn't seem like Pennywise was able to get like super far into Dick's head either, for the very fact that he had to ask Dick Halloran what his name was. I mean, usually that's not a question Pennywise ever has to ask. He just dives into your head and learns everything he needs to know about you. But when he comes in contact with Dick, he has to ask him, "Who are you?" That was, to me, an indication that he wasn't able to like really fully penetrate and get into his head, because Dick's different. He has a psychic abilities as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the kind of mental chess match that these two characters are going to play between Dick and Pennywise.
Yeah, and I mean, we see that Pennywise is using Dick Halloran's grandmother to kind of get him to stop. So we see that once again he has a
Well,
vision of his grandmother, right?
I don't think that's a vision of his grandmother. I think that's him using his shine ability to see his dead grandmother. And because every time we see her, she's warning him to be careful. She's warning him to get out. I think that's really because that's usually how it works. Like in The Shining, Dick Halloran appears just like that to Danny all the time and is like giving him advice and stuff. I think that might really be Dick's grandmother, because Dick's grandmother had the shine. She's the one who kind of taught him the shine. I think that's him using his shine ability, and that's her kind of popping up from time to time and kind of trying to warn him to be careful.
Yeah, the reason why I thought that it was Pennywise using the image of his grandmother is because when he goes down to Pennywise's home to visit the sewer, his grandmother is floating. So Pennywise has his grandmother floating up with all of the other bodies.
Yeah,
That's why I thought
mhm.
he knows what she looks like.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that was Pennywise either. I think when Dick was seeing all of that, I think Dick was using his shine ability to see Pennywise's victims all floating up there. Because did you see how many of them there were? It looked like there was
Yeah.
years and years and years worth of bodies down there, like the whole culmination of all of the people that Pennywise has ever killed. And we know Dick can see dead people. So I thought, for me, it looked like Dick Halloran was using his shine ability to see Pennywise's past victims up there floating. And his grandmother showed up and said, "Dick, get out of here," because she knew he was in danger.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Because the grandmother didn't look scary. She wasn't threatening him. She wasn't like trying to scare him or attack him or anything. She was warning him to get out of there.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And this is why it's so fun to go through the episode and dissect it, because a lot of us, like I see people in the chat are saying and asking the question, a lot of us don't know the history. We don't know that his grandmother had the shining. We only have just met Dick Halloran and we're trying to get to know his character. We have no
Exactly.
info or
Yeah.
background on his grandmother.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that his grandmother had the shining, then that answers some of our questions in the chat.
Yeah, she had the shine. She was the one who kind of taught it to him, in a sense. In a sense, it's hereditary in some cases, where it's passed down from generation to generation, which is why many people theorize that Danny wasn't the only one who had the shine, that Jack Torrance also had the shine during the events of The Shining. And that's why he went crazy, because we know evil is very drawn to people with the shine. And that's one of the big kind of premises that Doctor Sleep is kind of based on, the sequel to The Shining, where we find out that there are these people out there that are, attracted to people with the shine, very much like the Overlook Hotel is one of those places that is attracted to people that have the shine. So people with the shine are in a tendency to be in danger whenever they're in areas where evil resides. So Dick Halloran has to be careful as well, because Pennywise is going to be drawn to him.
Of course. And even if he wasn't drawn to him because of the shine, he was very intrigued when he was home and all of a sudden the Halloran like makes this entrance. He's like, who are you? You're in my house. Nobody comes to my house unannounced. I bring people down here to the sewer. Nobody just pops in. So I think even just because of curiosity, because he's never interacted with somebody that way, he's gonna be
Yeah.
after him.
Yeah. I think he's going to be after him. I think he's going to be part intrigued, even, and to a certain extent, because, like you said, Pennywise has never really come across somebody like Dick Halloran that has the shine. Not to this extent, anyway. So yeah, again, I think it's going to be a very interesting kind of mental chess game, a mental chess match between Halloran and Pennywise. I think it's going to be very fun too. And those are some of the scenes that I want to see the most, the two of them kind of psychically and mentally interacting with one another. And it looks like we're going to get some of those scenes. I mean, just based on some of the previews, some of the trailers, we see some scenes of Dick Halloran, like screaming, like something's inside of his head. So they're going to have some interesting meetings, I think, for sure. And yeah, as Haymaker brings up, Jack had the shine, but his drinking drowned it out. And that is the most logical idea. That is the most popular idea, that Jack did have some kind of shine, because there is one instant in the book where Dick Halloran tries to get inside Jack's mind, and it's almost like to see if he shines. And it's almost like he kind of feels a little bit of something, but he's also feeling the fact that Jack is almost kind of like hiding something, like that there's something deep down inside Jack that even Jack doesn't even know, because even Dick Halloran tries to get inside of his head in the book. So yeah, I definitely think Jack had a little bit of the shine as well. Not as strong as Dick Halloran or Danny, probably, but I think he had a little bit of the shine. But like you said, the drinking probably severely diminished it and drowned it out. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Danny did the same thing in Doctor Sleep to make the vision stop, to make the shine stop, or in which he used to call Tony. We hear about this Tony character at the beginning of The Shining. And we find out that's what kind of Danny named his shine ability. He gave it a name and kind of treated it as though it was an imaginary friend. But yeah, we see him 30 years later in Doctor Sleep in the sequel. He's kind of going down the same path that his father went down, drinking to drown out the shine ability. I think Stanley Kubrick's Shining was so great, even though it does change a lot from the book. I still love that film. And I think Doctor Sleep was a really good follow-up, a worthy sequel, in my opinion. But yeah, evil entities like it, evil places like the Overlook Hotel, evil groups like the True Knot and Doctor Sleep, these kind of beings are very much drawn to people with the shine. So yeah, Pennywise is going to continue to come back for Halloran, I think.
He has to. I mean, he has to deal with him. And I mean, to be fair, Pennywise is up against a lot this time around. He's not used to this. So usually he only has to deal with the children and with the adults of the town. All of the adults are under his spell, so they're not that big of a problem. He kind of gets to roam around, eat the children, go back, come back for another cycle. But this time around, he has to deal with the Air Force. He has to deal with The Shining, with Dick Halloran. He has to deal with Leroy and with the children. That he's going up against a lot of people. And not to mention, I have to add in there the Native American Council. They are also, so that's 5 entities against Pennywise. They're also fighting to keep him in his cage. They told us before, they straight up spelled it out. We need to keep him in his cage and make sure that he doesn't get out. So he's kind
Mhm.
of going up against a lot of things in this cycle that he hasn't encountered before.
It is. I mean, it's again he hasn't faced this much resistance really, and you look at any of his past cycles, at least from as much as we know, he hasn't really come across this much resistance where there's, like you said, this many people searching him out and actively trying to find him, catch him, kill him, whatever, depending on what motive that you have. But like you said, he's going to be facing the military, he's facing the Losers Club, and he's facing the Native Americans. So it's a big old melting pot that is just going to hit the fan at some point. You know that someone's going to light a fuse, and this whole thing's just going to go tits up. But yeah, there's a lot of different kind of groups and factions out there that are actively either trying to keep Pennywise contained or trying to capture him. And I think that's where the division is going to come from. It'd be one thing if all of these different factions were all working together to contain Pennywise, we're working together to get rid of him, to try and kill him. Then I think they would stand a much better chance because you got the military, you got all of these kind of resources, a psychic, a man that doesn't have fear, a whole tribe. Like you got a lot of resources to throw at him. So if they were all kind of working towards the same goal, I think they'd have a much better chance. But we've seen their goals are very much scattered, very much divided. The Native Americans want to keep him hidden. They want to keep him trapped, where the military wants to do literally the exact opposite. So I think it's going to definitely lead to some kind of skirmish between the two. And how is this act going to get taken by the tribe? I mean, when the tribe finds out that the military just grabbed Tennille and essentially tortured him for information, I mean, that's a very hostile act that I imagine the tribe would not be too happy with. So tensions are already beginning to escalate between these two factions.
I mean, that spells out the end of my shipping of Rose and Francis, General Francis, because Tennille is Rose's nephew. So he's
Yeah.
directly messing with Rosa's nephew. After she told him, I will work with you. Let's work together and, just come talk to me. She's not going to like that. That's going to be the end of that relationship or friendship or of them working together. They're going to stop working together and start working against each other. At this point, what Rose and the Native Council have to do is stop General Francis. And how do you do that? That's you stopping the government. It's probably not going to go over well.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be an easy task to stop the the U.S. military, especially when they have their goal and their mind set on something. And with Shaw being as dedicated to it as he is, with him truly believing that this might be the only thing that can win them a war that they all think is imminent, a nuclear war that they all think is imminent. So yeah, it's definitely a powder keg, and it just needs one little match to get lit to blow the whole thing up. Yeah, I love Doctor Sleep. So good. It was. I loved it. I know it wasn't critically acclaimed. I know it didn't do very well in the box office, but I think it was a really good follow up to The Shining. I enjoyed Doctor Sleep. And I think, Rebecca Ferguson was just phenomenal as Rose the Hat, played a great villain, phenomenal villain. So we'll get a scene where Dick is hollering. Yeah, Dick Halloran's going to be hollering at some point. We're going to get some of that. Yeah. Dick Halloran hollering.
I know where it's going to be. He's going to be hollering when we see Pennywise going down that pole, and he's going to be going down that pole at the new bar that they're opening. At the grand opening. That's going to be the entertainment for the night. And that's when you're going to see Golden Child Dick hollering.
Yeah. Pennywise, the dancing clown, is tonight's entertainment.
He's dancing. That's a form of dancing. Call it what you will.
He is the dancing clown after all. So this is fitting. This is very fitting. Yeah, Pennywise can read minds. It could go either way. Rose is trying to warm her grandson, or it is manipulating him. Yeah, again, it can go either way. Pennywise is very much a super powerful psychic as well, very much capable of reading mostly anything from anyone. for sure. We know she could shine because of the movie The Shining. Yep, we do. Danny drank in Doctor Sleep to get rid of his shine ability. He did. He wanted to drown it out, and he started becoming an alcoholic, just like his father. He went right down his father's footsteps. I would love for this director to tackle a series of the True Knot. Such interesting characters. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Like, really, like doing a show that was specifically dedicated to like just the True Knot. I think that could be super interesting. Rose the Hat is such an interesting character. And even the older guy there, I forget his name, the founder, like the leader of the True Knot, the oldest member of the True Knot at the time. He's said to have been around for centuries, fed on kings and queens and all of that. Yeah, I think a True Knot style story, a True Knot focused story could be pretty interesting. I mean, they are villains at the end of the day, so it's kind of hard to kind of paint them in any kind of um, protagonist kind of role. I mean, they are essentially psychic vampires that feed and kill children that have the shine. So it'd be interesting to see a show built around them because they are straight up villains. But I mean, I'd watch it if they did it for sure. I'd watch it. Can anyone answer why the Pennywise photo was the only one that ended up appearing? Because I think most of the other apparitions that they were taking pictures of and that they were seeing in the graveyard was just Pennywise. Pennywise doesn't always have to kind of shapeshift into things to scare people. He is a very powerful psychic, and is very adept at making people see and creating illusions. So I think when we see the kind of ghost-like apparitions of Teddy and Susie and the kids that got killed in episode 1, the spirits that are kind of flying around in the graveyard, not all of that is necessarily Pennywise shape-shifting. It could just be him putting these images inside their mind. Again, very powerful illusions that Pennywise can create, like the balloon. Like we saw the balloon in this episode where Leroy and Will both saw the balloon. Very powerful illusions that Pennywise can create. Doesn't necessarily mean that Pennywise was literally shape-shifting into a balloon, but he's making people see a balloon with these powerful projections that he can kind of do. So I think they're sitting there taking pictures of these things, thinking they're getting pictures of ghosts and apparitions, when really they're just taking pictures of nothing because it's something that he's just projecting. The one real form of him is the one little tiny shot that they did get him in his clown form, his real physical corporeal form. That wasn't an illusion. That was the one part of him that was like actually real. I think that's why that's the only picture that developed that had anything of note on it, because the rest of the things were just illusions that he was creating. Wasn't real. Grandpa Flick, there it is. Grandpa Flick, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I did like the interaction with the cops because I feel like now we have more of a sense to who they are and why they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the series, we thought maybe the cops have been somehow possessed by Pennywise because they seem to be, not really helping. They're getting in the way. They're not just not helping, they're getting in the way of anybody that's attempting to solve the disappearances of the children or what's going on with Ronnie's dad. They're getting in the way. Seeing the interaction that they had with the children, this cop, he's not a good person. He's not a nice guy. He's
No,
not a good guy. He's a bad guy.
no.
Um, I did think when he was talking to Rose, he doesn't just interact with the children and dismiss them. He also has an interaction where Rose is trying to help Ronnie's dad, and he also
Yeah,
treats her in a way that's super dismissive, um,
yeah,
super rude. But he does tell her this is in the South. There is some sort of justice, if you will. And it's not necessarily because of his skin color that he is getting this treatment.
yeah.
Once they explain to us the story that he was not home, but he won't say where he was, I can
Mhm.
kind of see why people are kind of pinpointing Ronnie's dad as the person who did this.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you were somewhere, but you're not telling us where you were, and you're kind of keeping that hidden, and we're accusing you of killing children, what is it so bad that you were doing that
Yeah.
you were willing to take on this other sentence?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now we
Exactly.
find out. But if it were me, honestly, and you chat, people in the chat, let me know, would you tell if you were faced with what Ronnie's dad is being faced with, either being accused of killing children and disappearing them, or having to tell the truth about you having an affair with a married white lady, which one would you choose? I would tell. I would tell. I'm like, listen, I didn't do anything to the children. I was with the cop's wife. I would tell. Would you tell?
Um, I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. I probably would.
I would tell. I mean, when it comes to the children, that's a more egregious sort of crime. And if I'm going to go down anyway, at this point, Ronnie's dad is going to go down no matter what he says.
Yeah.
It's either going to be for sleeping with somebody's wife or for the children. So at this point, it's like, sentence me for sleeping with somebody's wife instead of
Mhm.
this horrible crime. I would tell immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's he's got those two choices to weigh in front of him. Do I take the risk of going down for these kids' murders, or do I risk potentially even more by telling the truth? And it seems like up until now we see where he's leaned in terms of taking the rap instead of actually coming out and telling the truth. It seems like he fears that outcome a lot more. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I guess it's just a matter of, will Ronnie's dad at some point change his mind? Will he get to the point at some point where he does change his mind and he says, no, fuck this, I am going to say exactly where I was, and he's going to fight this? I guess that's the question. Will he change his mind at one point and actually say where he really was, or will he go down taking this rap for something he didn't do? Yeah, Haymaker would tell as well. Yeah, it's a tough decision. Yeah, it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision. Tough decision. Tell the truth, then pack up and leave ASAP. I mean, that might be the way. That might be the best answer. I can tell the truth, clear your name, and get the fuck out of Dodge as soon as can. Hey, it's win-win. That might be the best outcome for sure. I'd be having conversations with myself and all that stuff. Yeah, you got to really think on that one, right? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he changes his mind, I guess.
I mean, but Elizabeth Jaramillo has an excellent point here in the chat. How would he prove it anyway? The
Yeah,
lover might deny it. And I'm guessing
exactly. And then
if
he's
you're
in
married and you're
love.
cheating on your husband and that's the cop is your husband, which
Yeah,
we are messy here in this channel. So we want it to be the cop's wife.
we
We
want it to be
really
the
do,
conflict, yeah.
because
But
we're so messy. But she's never gonna admit to that. She's gonna say, like,
that's a good
no, he's
point.
crazy. Of course I
That's a very
wasn't
good
with him.
point.
There's only
And
two people in
then,
the room, so she's gonna say
right?
no.
And then what does he do? Then not only is he going down for this fucking murder, but then he's also on the hook for lying about sleeping with the fucking captain's wife. Like, he's so fucked at that point. If he can't prove it. So yeah, I mean, you're very good point, Elizabeth. Very good point. He's fucked. He's stuck between a rock and a very hard fucking place right now. Fucking guy is he's not having a good week. He's cooked. He's
He's
absolutely cooked.
cooked. He's cooked.
Absolutely cooked. He's cooked. His goose is cooked. Yeah. Well, even then, the cop will kill this dude. He might, exactly. Like again, this is a very, very, very sturdy rock in a very hard place that he is wedged in between, and all because he happened to own the movie theater where these kids got killed. It's tough break. Very tough break for him. But yeah, he's cooked. He's cooked. And again, at some point it looks like he is going to get brought to Shawshank based on some of the shots we've seen in some of the other trailers. At some point, it looks like he does get thrown on a bus and shipped off to Shawshank. Does he stay there? Does he end up clearing his name at some point? Who knows? But he's got a tall task ahead of him to clear his name, especially if the only evidence he has is his own word that he was sleeping with someone's wife at the time of the murder. Not a very solid defense, unfortunately. It's just not a very solid defense. But we'll see. We shall see.
Yeah, I think that the reality is he's not getting out of this. Poor Ronnie. I feel so bad for Ronnie, but he's not get. There's no way. There is no universe where he gets to go off and just kind of get justice for what has happened.
Yeah.
There is nothing that he can do because of what we said. You know, he was sleeping with some white man's wife. Either way, it's gonna be bad for Ronnie. Which poor Ronnie, you know, she's gonna be left alone with her grandma at that point.
Yeah, and that sounds like it's gonna be fun. Sounds like it's gonna be very fun. I have a theory. Tennille is the shaman who teaches Mike the Chud ritual in Chapter 2. Ooh, interesting. I mean, that would be an interesting way to kind of tie these two time periods together, the 1962 time period with everything that happens in it, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I mean, potentially, maybe Tennille would be like a very old man at that time during the events of it, Chapter 2. But that's an interesting theory. Definitely an interesting theory, and it could be a way to tie the show to the films even more, maybe. So no, that's an interesting one. Very interesting one. Morgan Freeman cameo will be peak. I mean, Morgan Freeman in anything is always peak. Absolutely. Everyone in the season is cooked. They either flee Derry, die, or they live in fear forever. I mean, and again, that's kind of the nature of prequels like this in the structure of these kind of shows. The way Pennywise operates, the way that we know he's going to go on and have many cycles after this, so we know he's not going to die. A lot of these characters, I imagine, are going to have very tragic fates where they're going to die or be incredibly traumatized for the rest of their life. Absolutely, 100% agree, Samuel.
Yeah, and now that's the way that I was thinking. I was thinking in a defeatist way because there is no winning, right? Pennywise is only going to go into hibernation early if you win, quote unquote. You're going to be terrified for the rest of your life. They changed the game. There is a possibility. Not necessarily everybody is cooked. Now that we have this dagger, this magical dagger, does that mean that
yeah.
Exactly. Does that mean that there is an opportunity for Pennywise to be killed, quote unquote, for them to kind of push him back into this star or into this cage where he can't escape, even if it is every 27 years? They have an opportunity at winning. And I kind of like that. I like the fact that it's not predetermined. Nothing is preordained that they have to die and they don't have a chance against Pennywise. I feel like with the magical dagger, anything could happen now.
Yeah, like you said, they've changed the game. They have changed the game, adding a MacGuffin like this magic dagger that could potentially harm Pennywise, where something like that. I just can't get over these fucking eyes. Look at them.
They're not good. See, that's what I'm saying. When I saw that, I was like, Jeremy's not gonna like that. You hate CGI. But you know what? And she's like crying. She's like, she kind of deserved it. When I was watching it, I was like, that's what you get, you know? That's what you get. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But
oh shit.
My favorite part, even though the eye look at her little face.
Speaking of, let's look at the poll. Look at her little face. The poll is still up for anyone who hasn't voted on the poll yet. Our tonight's poll is: did Marge deserve it? Did she deserve what happened to her? 61% say yes, she did deserve it. 39% says no, she didn't deserve it.
What do you say,
Just
Jeremy?
look
Did
at
she
her.
deserve it
Poor
or not?
thing. I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to say yes for the way that she really was a bad friend, but I mean, she is a kid at the end of the day too. Golden Child was pointing out in the chat earlier, which was a very valid point. You know, these are children. Their brains are not fully developed. Their choices that they're making are going to constantly be incredibly stupid. Where in her kind of child brain mind values her position with these patty cake mean girls more than she does with someone who's supposed to be her genuine friend Lily, to the point where she would almost set her up. And she kind of tried to redeem herself, where she tried to kind of stop it last minute, so that buys her another extra point. But the fact that she was willing to set it up at all, it's like shit. I don't know. Maybe you do deserve it, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think she deserved it?
Uh, Jeremy's famous non-answer answer.
Famous not answer answer. I'll give an answer. I will. I'll give an answer. But what about you? Did she deserve it?
Um, I feel like I have to say no morally, because Golden Child, you do make an excellent point, and morally, I feel like we should say no. She's just a kid. However, I don't know. When I was watching it, I'm just gonna say, like, my first instinct when I was watching it, I was like, "That's what you get. That's what you get for being so mean." So I kind of felt immediately like, "Yeah, you so deserve it."
That was my
Thinking about
initial
it,
reaction. My
yeah.
initial reaction was like, "Oh, fuck Marge, man."
Yeah, but my favorite part is Lily trying to help her. That was hilarious. Sometimes shows have these unexpected comedic scenes,
Yeah.
and that was my favorite part. That Lily is trying to help Marge, and she just happens to perfectly grab the knife, and she's on top of her, and the entire class is just like, those kids have been through so much. They're like, what the hell is happening now? Like you almost can't blame them for bullying Lily and thinking that she is like strange when she's put in all these situations. It makes
Mhm.
her look like the bad guy. So
Oh, these fucking eyes. They trip me out. They get me every time I see these fucking eyes. It gets me. This was gnarly. This was a gnarly scene. Her just fucking sawing these things right
Mhm.
off. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. But yeah, you know, okay. And Marge, this isn't anything new from Marge. Marge hasn't really been a good friend pretty much all season. Pretty much the entire season, she's been prioritizing her status with these patty cake clowns, as opposed to being there for Lily, who's like really going through it. Lily's like really, really going through some tough times at the beginning of the season, and still is now. And Marge is never there for her, not once, really. So yeah, she's not a very good friend. She's not a very good friend that you would want to have, where she values her social
Mhm.
status more than she does her genuine friend.
Not only is Lily going through it, a lot of us were asking on the last episode why Lily's mom was so cold to her. She drove her to the asylum and was like, "Get out, open the door, like goodbye." And now we know why she's so cold, because she is on pills. She's so much on pills that she calls them mommy's little helper. That's how she tells
Oh
her
my
daughter
god,
that
yeah.
the pills are. She's
Those
like,
are mommy's
I
little helpers.
She's like, whenever I feel bad, I just take one, and all of a sudden I feel better. Everything goes away. It's mommy's little helper, which, by the way, that has some historical context. That is part of history.
Mhm.
So back in the day, that is very accurate to things that were happening in real life. A lot of the housewives in the 1950s and 60s, they were on speed. Like, that's what they were doing. They would go to the doctor, and the doctor would give them
Oh
things
yeah,
for depression or
yep.
to make them like more
These
cheery, more
quaaludes.
upbeat. and they would be like on
Quaaludes were all over
speed,
the place back then.
tranquilizers, not to mention that every day after work, it's like you're taking some like hard liquor uh, drink with your husband. So
Mhm.
a lot of the housewives did have mommy's little helper, and that's a tagline. Historically, in advertisement, there's advertisement for this
Yeah.
sort of helper pill, and they call it mommy's little helper.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. Mommy's little helper. And now all these kids are going to get all tranked up and try and combat Pennywise that way. So, yeah, we'll see if that's a good plan or not. But yeah, I just can't get over these fucking eyes, man. I just can't get over these fucking eyes. It's just hilarious. This is just so funny. Oh man, but yeah, gnarly scene. It looks like Marge, unfortunately, is going to come out of this incident losing, actually, really losing one of her eyes. Tough break, very tough break. But yeah, this is what Pennywise does. And again, this is the psychological horror aspect of Pennywise that is so scary, much more scarier in my opinion than any kind of heavy gory CGI bloody scene. Something that's kind of psychological like this, where he's forcing you to fucking pick out your own eye because what he's doing to you psychologically. That is the scariest part of Pennywise for me personally. But yeah, gnarly, gnarly. She just popped out her own freaking eye, and it looks like we're going to see her with that eye patch that we've seen in some of the other trailers. But it doesn't look like the problems are going to be over for Marge, because like we talked about earlier, we do get that one scene in some of the trailers when the big fog, the thick fog, kind of comes over Derry, and it's kind of engulfed the entire town. We get that one scene of Marge getting dragged away from the rest of the group into the fog. So it looks like Marge has got a really tough road ahead of her still. Like, this is not the end of her problems. She's got other run-ins with Pennywise that she's going to have.
Yeah, and like you said, they're gonna get closer. They're going to rekindle that friendship, which, I don't know about that, but um, it seems
Yeah.
like the patty cakes are not going to accept Marge. She deserves it. She deserves not to be part of
Mhm.
the patty cakes. So at least if she doesn't deserve the eye thing, she deserves that, being outed
Mhm.
by the patty
Being
cakes the
outed.
way she wanted
Yeah.
Lily to be treated. So,
Mhm.
but I love what
Yeah, I agree.
Kenneth Pearson 82 is saying. Big Pharma is ruining Pennywise's grift. He totally, like, Big Pharma totally is ruining what Pennywise
Yeah.
does, making everybody so tranquilized that
Yeah.
they're unable to experience or feel anything. I saw this
Yeah.
thing on TikTok. It was so funny. He uses people's fears, but he has to kind of modernize that to what people are adjusting to and what their new fears are.
Their
And so
current
it's
fears.
interesting, the current, right? What's trending. He has to be always on top of what's trending when it comes to fears. Um, what's interesting is, what would Pennywise use for children nowadays? This is
Pounding.
1962.
Yeah.
They're already doing pills, but what would he do 2025? Like, what's somebody's biggest fear? What does he have to turn into? Like, Wi-Fi that's not connecting, like bad reception, a broken iPad or broken phone.
A
Like,
broken iPhone. Yeah.
what terrifies children or people, you know?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Like, what terrifies children and just people in general nowadays? Yeah, like losing power, losing, having a dead phone for all eternity. Like, what we have, what scares people these days? That's a good question. That's a very good question. Who knows what kind of forms Pennywise would take on if he were to be let loose in our modern day times. Like, you know, I don't know. Maybe we'd have Pennywise clown Karens running around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
fears a Karen.
Somebody said on the other live stream, when we asked you guys if Pennywise had to scare you, what would Pennywise have to look
Yeah.
like to scare you personally? And somebody said bills. And for me, I'm like, yeah, like Bills, if he turns it, but that's just not as scary, you know? The world is changing for Pennywise. The world is changing.
Yeah, and it seems like, he is always going to be a product, a creature that is going to be a lot more effective at scaring people in, times like these, in past times where, he's not going to have as much to draw on in a current day, timeline like now. But back then, the superstitions and everything that was running rampant, it was so easy to scare people and to dive into people's fears, I would imagine. But yeah, nowadays, I think it would look totally different. Totally different. But I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But no, I mean, overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode. Again, I know people want to see Pennywise in all of his glory, and looks like we are going to get that next week. Anyone who saw the trailer for next week's episode, you saw it. We got a lot of Pennywise to look forward to over these next 4 episodes. It looks like Pennywise is going to be shown a ton. It looks like he's going to be in these last few episodes a lot. So that's good. I know it took a while for us to get here, but I don't mind the slow burn. I like the kind of the build up, the anticipation before finally actually seeing Bill Skarsgård in all of his glory in the Pennywise costume. I don't mind. I didn't mind the wait and the build up to it, but it's good that it's finally here at least, because I feel like the show is really, really going to begin once Pennywise really shows up in the flesh. And that's going to happen next week, guys. We are going to get our first look at Pennywise in next week's episode in all of his glory. And it looks like the first scene of him that we're going to get is that sewer scene, the sewer scene where he's kind of running, doing his crazy Pennywise run. So it looks like that's going to be in next week's episode, but it looks like we're going to get some other ones other than that. The way they described it is we don't get much of any Pennywise in the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, we get a ton of Pennywise, is how Andy Muschietti kind of described it. We're going to be getting a lot of him now that he does finally show up. So yeah, you ready for Pennywise to make his grand entrance, PM and chat? You guys ready to see the cosmic clown in action?
We are so ready to see Pennywise sliding down the pole in all of his glory. He's going to be the opener for the club. They're going to need dancers. They're going to need a great show and an opener, and it's going to be Pennywise. I am so ready. And you know what? I don't know if it's because we're kind of used to From, where we don't get answers. We get treated so badly in From that we don't get any answers. They just kind of throw episodes at us and they're like, we're not going to tell you anything. That I was so shocked. I'm always so shocked by the fact that they just give us so much information. Like in this episode, they're like, we're going to tell you the origin. How did he arrive? What he's trying to do? Why he wants to eat the children? Like everything. They went through so many things and told us basically the whole game. Maybe it's because of that trauma that we have From not giving us any info, but it's shocking. I'm surprised and I like it. I do like the story. I thought it was an interesting story.
Yeah, I do too. I think, I've had my problems with certain episodes, and I've been vocal about that, which is totally fine, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think these last 2 episodes have been really fun. I think it's really picked up, and I like where the show's heading. Now that we're finally getting into the nitty gritty, the meat of it, the Pennywise of it all, I think it's going to get a lot better. I think the second half of the season is going to be much more interesting than the first half of the season was. The setup has been done. We don't, the stage has been set. Now it is time for him to make his grand entrance. And of course, it looks like we are also going to be getting some Bob Gray in next week's episode as well. This is the trailer for In the Weeks to Come. So it's just a little sneak peek of some of the scenes that we're going to be seeing in next week's episode and the last few episodes that we're going to be getting. But yeah, we're going to be getting Bob Gray. We're going to be getting Pennywise, and we're going to be getting a lot of him and all of his glory. This is the shot that they showed of him in the trailer. He looks super fucking creepy. He looks super good. Like, hell yeah. Bring that on. bring on Pennywise and all of his glory. There he is, folks. Pennywise is coming.
Finally,
yeah.
finally. So exciting. So exciting. But I'm loving the show.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the show. I am. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Again, the first two episodes were kind of hit and miss. Some scenes I really enjoyed. Some scenes I really, really didn't enjoy. But episode 3 and 4, I feel, were definitely a step up, and the story and the storytelling has stepped up over the last 2 episodes. And I'm much more intrigued after seeing this episode. I thought this was a really good episode where we got some good answers, a big old exposition dump. We learned a ton in this episode. We got a lot of backstory, his origin story, his history with the tribe, tons of stuff that we learned in this episode. So yeah, they're definitely setting up the ground nicely for him to make his grand entrance next week. And I'm looking forward to it. Bill is arriving, ladies and gents. I know it's the moment a lot of people have been waiting for. A lot of people have been dying to see Bill Skarsgård on screen again, and I have too. I'm very much looking forward to him returning in his Pennywise glory. And looks like that will be happening next week. Pennywise shaking his moneymaker. He's going to shake something. He's going to shake something, for sure. And yeah, Jeepers Creepers childhood fear. The first time I saw the Jeepers Creepers movie, hell yes. Like the first time I saw that movie, like that creature was, the creeper was just scary. That was one of the few creatures. And I don't usually get scared like during creature feature films like that, weird monsters and stuff like that. It never really is ever too scary for me. But Jeepers Creepers was something about that fucking monster. Something about the creeper was just terrifying as a kid. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Jeepers Creepers was definitely a possible form that Pennywise could have taken if he showed up when I was a kid. Definitely a possible form.
There's a funny thing. If you guys haven't seen it in the chat, look it up. It's on like TikTok, I think. But there's a girl that went on and said, out of all of the horror movies, the entity or the demon or whatever it is, what character do you think you could take on, like physically take on? And she said she thought she could take on Jeepers Creepers. Oof. She's like, I feel like I could physically take on Jeepers Creepers. And it went viral because everybody was like, no way you're gonna take on Jeepers Creepers. And there's a guy who has an account and all he does is dress up as Jeepers Creepers. Like he must be so into it, right? For Halloween, they came together and he filmed the video where he like got her. And it became a whole back and forth where she was like, no, I could take I'm gonna take on Jeepers Creepers. I feel like hand-to-hand combat. She was she was thinking, and at the end he got her. They met. They had to, this was like across the country. They had to travel to each other to meet. And then she was like, yeah, I don't think I could take you. So he ended up winning the person that impersonates Jeepers Creepers. But that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That does sound fun. But yeah, as Samuel's saying, yeah, the girl's tripping, taking on fucking the creeper one-on-one. The creeper is this immortal freaking nightmare. Like you don't take on the creeper, you run from him and hope to survive. That's what you do. But yeah, the ending of Jeepers Creepers made my stomach hurt. Yeah, Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers Creepers had serious road rage. Yeah, I mean, it was a good film. I think the first original Jeepers Creepers, it's a good fucking horror film. For me, I feel like it will always be a good horror film. Second one, third one, however many they did after that, I can live without those. They weren't really that great, I thought. But the first Jeepers Creepers film, it was genuinely good. And yes, that ending that ending made you feel unsettled, because this was during a time where horror films didn't really end like that too often. Horror films always kind of ended with, most films do, with a happier ending, with, the good guy winning. But that's not what goes down in Jeepers Creepers. It's not a happy ending by any means. It's a very unsettling ending, the way it all plays out. So yeah, Jeepers Creepers will always be a very good horror film as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I could take them. Just kidding. Of course. Who says that, right? Crazy, crazy. For me,
Mm.
it's Valak. For me, the scariest
Ooh,
horror
that's what
is the
Pennywise would
nun.
show up as, Valak for you.
Valak is so scary. Valak
Mhm.
is the most terrifying, like horror entity that I've ever seen. That
And for
nun
those who
scares
don't
me so
know,
bad.
Valak is the nun, right? The creepy, scary nun from the Conjuring series. Yeah,
Yeah,
super.
if you saw a picture of her, you would be scared. Like she is so scary, especially when they introduce her. Like she rushes you, and that's what makes her like terrifying.
Yeah,
This
it's
like
the
7 foot
rushing.
nun rushing
It's
at you.
it's the rushing at you, but also not moving your feet. The like sliding at you that makes it
Yeah,
like super creepy. You're like floating towards me. Like get the fuck back.
yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to be Valak for Halloween one year when it just came out. I was like, oh my God, Valak is so scary. I want to be Valak. While I was in the middle of doing my makeup for Valak, I got almost to the end and it looked too realistic. I scared myself. I was like, fuck no, this is too scary.
You
I'm
took it
messing
off.
with like devil things. I took it off. I was like, I shouldn't be messing with this. I don't want to call her and invoke the nun. No, no way.
Shit. That's funny. That's too funny. Yeah, yeah. Like, what's to stop him from becoming Godzilla, right? I mean, nothing really. I mean, that's the thing with Pennywise. It's not like he can only shapeshift into things that are his size. We've seen him get super giant size or super small. Like he can, yeah. Like I mean, what's to stop him from turning into fucking Godzilla? If somebody's worst fear is Godzilla, then I imagine we'd see a giant Pennywise fucking Godzilla destroying downtown Derry at some point. I think it could be possible. It would be very interesting too. Yeah, just getting here, but yes, Marge deserved it. I was cheering, says Andre Hills. Well, yeah, the poll was very split. It was kind of teetering around the kind of 55%, 45%, 53%, 47%. It was very even for the most part, but Yes is starting to run away with it. The more the stream kind of went on, Yes is beginning to run away with it. With 62% of the chat says yes, Marge did deserve it, and 38% of the chat says no, Marge didn't deserve it. So the yes is running away with it, unfortunately. Sorry, Marge. Sorry, Marge. Unfortunate. Yeah, I definitely could take Chucky, no problem. And,
Oh
and you know
yeah.
me, Golden Child, and you as well, PM. You guys know
Jeremy
me.
hates Chucky. Jeremy
Not a
hates
fan of Chucky.
Chucky.
Not a fan of Chucky. I mean, not in the sense where it's scary or anything. Like I just think it's ridiculous. I don't think Chucky's scary by any means. I think it's ridiculous that anyone would allow themselves to get killed by a 1 foot doll holding a knife. I don't care how evil the spirit is that is possessing it. It's still a plastic doll that is 1 feet tall. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Golden Child. I would absolutely boot Chucky through the upright. I would definitely take Chucky out in a freaking nanosecond. He wouldn't stand a chance.
You would
I
just like football kick him? Is that the strategy?
boot him right through the upright. Field goal, good from 50 yards.
He keeps coming back though. He's
I'll,
relentless.
I'll keep booting his ass over and over and over again, straight up. This little fucking doll. His little doll ain't getting me. This little doll is not getting
He
me.
not only does he hate Chucky, like because he feels he could take him, because Jeremy feels he could take on
I
Chucky.
could take
He
Chucky.
hasn't even seen the movies. He
I've
hasn't
seen
even seen
them.
it.
No, I've seen some. I've seen not all of them because I think they're
It's
ridiculous.
not that easy, Jeremy. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy because it's written that way. It's written for Chucky's victims to be complete idiots and like literally
No.
ask for it. But in the real world, no, Chucky wouldn't stand a chance.
But it like
He's got Hollywood writers on his side. So yeah, he's formidable. In the
no.
real world, no, a 1 foot doll is not contending. He's getting booted.
No, but it's like Kenneth Pearson. I like the debate, you guys. Kenneth Pearson 82 is saying he would wait till you fall asleep. Chucky's not stupid. He strategizes. He's not just
Yeah,
going to go in front of you
yeah.
after you football kick him the first time. He's gonna go in back of you. He's gonna use the element of
Get my ass while I'm sleeping. Yeah, I'll fucking wake up and jitsu him. I'll get him. He ain't getting me. I'm not letting Chucky get me. I'm not letting him get me. I'll sleep with a fucking weapon under my pillow and just ginsu his ass. I'll sleep with a samurai sword if I have to. He ain't getting me. Fuck you, Chucky. But yeah, wait until I sleep. That's such a dirty Chucky move. Little coward. Coward Chucky. Gotta get people when they're sleeping. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Chucky's just, I joke a lot, but Chucky's just never been my thing. But I like joking about it. It's fun. I know some people really like the Chucky series, and it's a popular for a reason. But yeah, everyone has a fear. Everyone has some kind of fear that Pennywise would be able to pull in. And that's a very good point, because we have this whole kind of, precedent that has been set that Leroy is the man without fear. Leroy literally can't feel fear because that part of his brain has been damaged, a damaged amygdala. Can't feel fear. His brain doesn't produce the necessary chemicals for his mind to feel fear. But I'm not sure how true that is. And I think we see that in some of the trailers, where in one of the trailers for season 1, we see a shot of Leroy down in the sewers. And what does he see? He sees a vision of his dead wife laying in the sewer with a gunshot through her forehead. And that's the form that Pennywise chooses to take, because he clearly was able to pull it out of his brain. So even though, he has this damaged amygdala, and he might be very brave, and he might not be able to feel fear in certain instances, he still has things that he is afraid of, like losing his family. And Pennywise clearly was able to pull that out of him. So even Leroy isn't truly without fear.
Yeah, and I mean, I emphasize damaged amygdala. Not completely broken, not completely for a fact, never returning sort of fear. It's just damage. For all you know, he could go down there with Pennywise up in the sewer, and all of a sudden it works. All of a sudden, through like combat battle, it fixes itself. And all of a sudden, he has all of this fear. And fear's not the only emotion. He can make him extremely sad. He can him extremely depressed. Even if he's not afraid of losing his wife, the idea that he keeps seeing his dead wife would, get to
Be
you one way
disturbing.
or another. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and Pennywise was clearly able to pull this out of his brain, knowing that this was something that he feared or was worrisome about. Pennywise knew that this would something that he could psychologically torment him with. And again, if Leroy truly wasn't capable of feeling fear, then Pennywise wouldn't be able to pull anything out of him. But he can, because he can still feel fear, just not as much as other people. But we'll see. We got Quan Solar. What is it, Quan? Good for you to join us. Just finished the episode. It was okay. It feels like the show is child friendly. Does anyone else feel that way? I mean, maybe at times in certain instances, it does feel like it's geared a little bit more towards, I wouldn't say like PG or anything, but not as, intense as they described it. Like when they were doing some interviews before the show started, like Bill Skarsgård in particular says that this Pennywise that he plays in season 1 is way darker than the Pennywise he plays in the films. Now, I guess we'll find that out once we start seeing Pennywise on screen in next week's episode. But up until now, the first half of the season wasn't, it had its moments where it was dark at times with, anytime you have children getting hurt and stuff, it can get a little dark. But there are also some other times where the show does kind of maybe come off like it is geared towards not like all audiences, but maybe some younger audiences. It's got a decent mix of both, I would say. I wouldn't say the show as a whole is just geared towards children. I think there's a lot of kind of stuff that's geared towards adults in there as well. But I definitely can see why, you might see some things that might be geared a little more towards the child audience. Not a child audience, but a younger audience maybe. But no, I mean, I'm enjoying the show. I think, again, the first two episodes I wasn't super hot on. I wasn't really in love with the show after episodes 1 and 2. Episode 3 I thought was a bit of a step up, and I started to get a little bit more invested, a little bit more intrigued. And then episode 4 I feel was another step up where I'm a little bit more intrigued now. I mean, yeah, there were some things that I had some issues with, but overall, I'm looking forward to, I guess, where the show could go. The show up until this point, I mean, it hasn't been phenomenal, hasn't been horrible either. But it's been, for the most part, some decent kind of setup until Pennywise eventually arrives. Really, I think once Pennywise does get here from next week's episode on, I feel like that's when I can like really truly judge how good the show is or not, because this show was marketed as a Pennywise show. So until Pennywise shows up and we get to see that kind of format and what it looks like, it's hard for me to really judge the show as a whole. So after seeing Pennywise for a few episodes, I think we'll have, or at least I'll have, a much better understanding as to what the show was going for.
Yeah, I'm liking the show. I'm excited to see Pennywise, of course. Now knowing a little bit more about his origin story is making him more interesting to me. It really
Yeah,
is. Um, and it's going to be interesting for anybody who didn't, watch the movies or read the books. We're getting a whole new story, and
yeah,
it's not matching up with the books. I'm interested to see what the book readers think about, because they're always up in arms. So I'm gonna be interested
yeah,
to see the book readers when they see the change in the magic dagger, what that debate is gonna look like.
yeah. I mean, and again, anyone who's read the books, let us know your thoughts and opinions on that in terms of some of the changes to the lore. For me, again, it's kind of, I have to see where they're going to go with it. I have to see where are they going to go with this new lore that they have introduced with these daggers and these kind of these all these antennas, these anchor points, all like I need to see where it's going to go for me to really really judge it. But just being usually a pretty big stickler from the book, of book lore and sticking to source material, I sometimes get a little bit nervous when shows change the fundamentals of a character. It's one thing to do changes when you're adapting something. Changes are always going to happen when adapting something, but you want to kind of at least remain as true to the overall structure and the essence of who the character is. And I think they have, for the most part. I think they're embodying and showing the essence of Pennywise pretty well, and the essence of not just Pennywise but it itself. But yeah, I think it's going to be, over these next few episodes, I think we'll have a much clearer image in terms of what the show is going for. But in terms of the lore changes, I got to see where they're going to go with them. Just a general rule of thumb. I'm usually not a huge fan of massive lore changes, but they can be good sometimes. So I definitely want to give the show a chance to see where it's going to go. I'm very intrigued, at the very least, to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and have you rated the episode?
I have not rated this episode, not yet, but I will right now. And that is usually what we always do, guys. And let us know in the chat as well. What is your rating when we're looking at episode 4 of It, Welcome to Derry, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being horrible and 10 being perfect? What score would you guys give episode 4 from 1 to 10? PM, what do you got? What's your score?
Mm. I think I'm gonna do 7.5 clowns. It was fun. There was a lot of information, a lot of new information, and it's easy. This is a show that is easy to watch. We have other favorites, like Pluribus, other shows that we're kind of looking and trying to figure out what the answer is. But this
Mhm.
is easy. They give you all of the answers. You just kind of have to sit back and observe. They're gonna tell you each
Yeah.
step of the way what they're doing. So it's kind of fun. I do like that. I would say, yeah, like 7.5. How about you?
Mhm. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a decent episode. It had some parts that I did really enjoy. It had some parts that I didn't really enjoy too at the same time. I mean, I've yet to see that one episode of It Welcome to Derry that I just really love. Like up until this point, every episode's been just kind of okay to mediocre. I haven't had that one episode that's really gotten me like super excited for the show yet. I just haven't experienced that yet with It Welcome to Derry yet. So for me, yeah, I mean, I'd probably give this one a 7.5 as well. That's I feel like I can't really go much higher than that because I'm just again, I haven't felt that okay, this was a great episode feeling for any of the episodes yet. But again, they're not horrible either. It's kind of right there in the middle range of B minus to C plus, I guess you could say. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10 is what I would give episode 4. 7.5. Andre Hills gives it a 10. Loved it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love to see that. Golden Child gives it a 7 as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Fair. Quan Solar gives it a 6. I enjoyed the history lesson. And again, yeah, we did get a big history lesson in this episode. And while I enjoyed getting the answers, I wasn't a fan of how we got them. I wasn't a fan of the story. It felt like a very forced exposition dump. And I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like they're telling the story while they're showing us the flashback. Just show us the flashback. Just show us the flashback and tell us the story through visuals. Don't explain every single thing you're showing us. It starts to feel like you're holding the audience's hand. So I wasn't a big fan of how we got the information. I'm glad we got the answers. It was nice to get the history lesson, but I wasn't a fan of the delivery in the slightest. I feel like it just felt like a very forced exposition dump.
Yeah, I mean, I like the story. I do like the way that the story was told because it is folklore for the Native American people. And so
Mhm.
it's word of mouth. They have to say it to each other. And we see that it is through telling the children of the story when they're very young and then telling them this is actually reality when they're older, that the information gets passed down. So that kind of fit in for me. The fact that they would have to verbally tell us because that's how they pass down information. Um, and it was part of their folk tales. I liked it. I thought it could be like more emotional. I mean, you're
Yeah,
kind of revealing a big thing. You're revealing the origin,
exactly. And
and
it
I
didn't
felt like
have
I
that
was
weight.
watching. It didn't have that
It
weight
didn't
to
have
it.
that weight to it. Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
like you're telling me where he came from and that there's a weapon against him. This is a huge deal. This is
Yeah,
big, and it
yeah.
just kind of feels like yeah. And there was a dagger, so they grabbed the star that made the
It
thing.
kind
They
of just
made a dagger.
felt
It was
like
just like
yeah.
this is a big deal. Like, kind of give me even the music that was behind it didn't emphasize, hey, this is a big deal. The
Mhm.
information you're about to receive like changes everything. It just kind of felt like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like it was just thrown in.
Again, like you said, it didn't have the weight behind it. Like, for a reveal like that, for an information dump like that, to learn something that big, you want the scene to kind of come across like it has some gravitas, like it has some energy behind it. But yeah, it didn't really. It was kind of just like, oh, here's this information. We're handing you this information. Here, now you have this information. That's kind of how it felt like. Like I didn't feel it very well. And as Quan Solar brings up, he said, Jeremy, that's why I feel like it's made for children because it holds our hands through everything. And at times there is a little bit of that. At times, again, storytelling, visual storytelling like this, TV shows, movies, it is a visual storytelling, format. And for me, it's always best, I think anyway, to show the audience, don't tell them. Like that's the rule of thumb for good storytelling, at least in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. A lot of people like being able to see something as opposed to just hearing about it. Again, seeing visual storytelling is always better than an exposition dump, I guess. So I guess that's just my personal preference. I know it's not like the scene was like horrible or anything like that. Again, I liked the information that we did get. We got some good information, a good history lesson there, but just in the way they delivered it was just like it just felt like copy paste. Here's this information. Here now you have this information. It didn't really feel like I was listening to a story. It felt like I was reading a dossier on something. But
Yeah, I would have liked the music to be like drums, like we're talking Native American folklore, like put some music that emphasizes this is a big deal. The only person in the episode, and I think, I got it. What's not clicking to me is people's reaction to big information. Like, this is huge information. This is your actual life. This is huge information. And
mhm,
people's reaction is like, oh, yeah, he wants to make us afraid because there are some animals that make you afraid. They
yeah.
taste better and then they eat their prey. The only person that had the right reaction to what was happening was Ricardo, where
Mhm.
he was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, he's gonna eat us? That's a big deal to me. That's
Yeah,
a huge
yeah,
deal.
yeah,
Like, what do you mean I just showed up? Like, this is scary. He's the
yeah.
only one that was acting with
Mhm.
the weight of like, I'm getting information that one doesn't make
That's
sense. Like,
crazy. Yeah.
this is crazy, this
It's
world is
nuts.
crazy. Everybody else is kind of just like, even Lily finding Marge. Lily immediately was like, no, Marge, no, and like gets on top of her instead of being like, like, you're cutting your eyes out. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, nobody's reacting to like major life changing events. It's just kind of like,
Mhm.
let's go to the next scene.
Yeah.
Like,
It's yeah. It's
yeah, the way that Will told the story and like gave it up, like, this is what he wants to do with you, should have been a bigger deal.
mhm, yeah. Yeah, again, some of the revelations, they don't have a lot of gravitas behind them, and can just by design, the way that they were revealed. And again, and I can totally understand why, Quan Solar and others, myself included, sometimes it feels like they're kind of holding your hand as an audience, as opposed to just presenting you with the information and letting the audience kind of discern it for ourselves. You don't always have to hold the audience hand. There's a way to give that history lesson. There's a way to show that backstory without having to give a line of dialogue that explains every single thing you're showing us. You can just show us through visual storytelling. There's a way to get that story across without the dialogue. And for me, those are the kinds of information dumps that I appreciate. Ones that aren't just full on exposition, but they actually show us, don't tell us. That's just my pet peeve about storytelling. But again, it was good at least to get the information. At least now we have more information. We have the backstory, at least the show's version of Pennywise's backstory, the show's version of how it came to Earth. And while it's largely similar to the book for the most part, there are some slight, alterations that Andy Machete has done to his version of the history, which again is totally his choice. He has creative control over the film rights. He can do whatever he wants, really. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm intrigued. I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going to go. I'm always a little hesitant when things stray from source material a lot, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad just because it's not sticking to source material. It might be telling a very incredibly intriguing story. And again, like The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. But if anyone who has read The Shining book, it's a horrible adaptation of the source material. It's completely different from the book in many different respects. But it's still one of the best horror films, one of the best films period of all time, even though it didn't follow the source material. So just because, they're kind of coming up with their own lore doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. It could end up being just as good, if not even better. Who knows? Some of Stephen King's lore can be a little weird and kooky at times. I mean, he was consuming copious amounts of cocaine and alcohol when he wrote these stories, after all. So sometimes some changes might even make the story a little bit better at times. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. And at this point, I'm looking forward to seeing Andy's vision and Andy's vision of this story and his vision of these characters, because that's kind of what we're seeing. Andy's vision, not so much Stephen King's, and that's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. The whole
Okay.
turtle thing, like I still need him to explain more about the turtle, but okay. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
fun. It's a fun show. It's
Yeah.
I'm having fun with it. I feel like I'm getting my serious show from Pluribus.
Yeah,
This
I
is
feel
just
like
fun.
yeah, 100%. And that's another thing. Like a show like this, just by design, it's not going to be one of those shows that has like a super heavy amount of substance. It's a horror show at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's just a horror show. It's not going to have like a super deeper level meanings to it. Not like something like a Pluribus does. Like you said, Pluribus is very much one of those shows that is going to be very cerebral. It's going to require your audience to really think. That's going to be one of those shows that does not hold the audience's hand. You're going to have to pay attention and pick up what Vince Gilligan is putting down along the way, because he's not going to spell it out for you. And I love that kind of storytelling. That's kind of the storytelling that I usually gravitate towards. But I love me some Pennywise. I must say I do. I love the history of Pennywise. I love the character. I love the mythology. I love the lore and everything behind it. And yeah, it's, sometimes shows don't really need to be anything more than just a simple kind of horror show. It doesn't have to be super deep. And this won't be. It's not going to be super deep. It's just aiming to be some decent horror, where Pluribus is going to be much deeper and more cerebral and is going to make you think. So it's two different kinds of shows, but I'm looking forward to both.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed. Indeed. But yeah, it's two decent shows to look forward to over these next few weeks. Again, we're at the halfway mark of Pennywise, of It Welcome to Derry season 1. We're at the halfway mark officially now. We got the second half of the season to look forward to, starting Sunday, when Pennywise officially makes his real debut on the show in next week's episode. We are finally going to see Bill Skarsgård on screen. And of course, Pluribus has kind of really just started. We still got tons of Pluribus to go, still 7 more episodes to look forward to. We will be doing after shows for both of these shows for the duration of the seasons. And then, of course, we'll be moving into the next shows that we're going to be diving into here on the channel. We've got some other interesting stuff that we're looking forward to. Of course, Fallout Season 2 is going to be airing in December. We have A Night of the Seven Kingdoms airing in January. We have 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple coming out in January. And of course, we have, hopefully within the next few weeks at most, we will have some kind of From Season 4 teaser trailer. Now that From is done with principal photography and they have wrapped up filming, it's only a matter of time until we finally get our first teaser trailer for From. And of course, we'll be here breaking down every single frame of that, which everybody will be, of course. But yeah, got some interesting stuff to look forward to. But at this point, I'm looking forward to the From teaser trailer more than anything else, by far. Like,
It's
by
literally what I live for. Literally
like
what I
so
live for.
much.
I'm only staying alive to watch season 4 of From. That's the only reason why I'm still here on Earth. So hopefully soon. Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely the show that we have the most fun covering here on the channel. And again, so many awesome people that we've met through the From fandom, a lot of which who have joined us and has carried over to all these other shows that we're covering. A lot of these people have originated right there in the From fandom, the Fromily community, which is so awesome. Again, it's one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. Met some of the coolest people in our From fandom. And yeah, I mean, it's coming, guys. We're getting closer and closer now, and I can feel it. Any week now, we are going to be getting that From Season 4 teaser trailer, and hopefully a much more definitive release date as to when we can expect it. But you guys have heard me. I probably wouldn't expect it before March or April, but hopefully we'll get the teaser and a full trailer much sooner. Come on, just give us a dang teaser already. Give us a dang teaser already. MGM, please throw your fandom a bone. And not only that, just from a marketing standpoint, like from MGM standpoint, it would definitely be in their best interest to get out a teaser as soon as they possibly could, considering it's a very extended hiatus in between these two seasons, between season 3 ending and season 4 beginning. They're going to need as much time as they possibly can to build up that momentum again, because it's been a while. So yeah, get that season 4 teaser out, MGM, and the fandom will certainly return, I think.
They need to call up the marketing people behind 28 years later. That's what they need to do.
You paid
Because the
them.
marketing department for From has always been lacking.
Yeah.
Always been lacking. This is an amazing show. When it just started, there was so few people watching it because nobody knew that it was
Nobody
on.
knows about it. Even
Nobody
today,
knows
a lot of
about it.
people don't. They only promote it online. And that's one thing that always gets me about MGM. Like, you won't see commercials and promotions for From during a basketball game or a football game or on any kind of mainstream television network. You won't see it because they just don't do it. They don't spend enough money on advertising. They only advertise this show online. That's it. And you're only going to grow so much that way.
Yeah, and you want to talk about money marketing. 28 years later, just they had geniuses behind the marketing and the push that they did with the trailers. But if you want to show Severance, the Severance people, that must have been expensive. They threw so much money
Oh
at
yeah.
Severance the second season. They even held events. But I mean, then you're talking Apple money. Apple
Yeah.
money is like long. Apple money like
Yeah.
can move, mountains. Severance, that type of marketing is what From deserves. From is such a great show. More
Yeah.
people should know about it. Yeah.
More people should. I genuinely think if From was promoted as much as some of these bigger shows were promoted, like on actual TV during actual commercials, yeah, I think From would blow up even bigger than it already is now. They just don't have that reach because they don't spend a whole lot of money on marketing for whatever reason. But I don't know. As Golden Child also asked, what happened to Silo? No official release date yet, as far as I know. But from what I remember, Silo season 3 will be coming out at some point in 2026. We will be getting season 3 in 2026, and we'll be getting season 4 probably not too long after season 3 ends. Because from what I've read, they're filming Silo season 3 and season 4 back to back. Like, they're filming both seasons all at once. So we probably won't have a huge wait in between seasons 3 and 4 of Silo. But 2026 is when Silo season 3 is supposed to air. So hopefully we'll get some kind of trailer on that at some point soon. Hopefully. But yeah, got some good stuff. We got some good stuff to look forward to. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is a good question from Football Finity. How are you feeling about Stranger Things? Are you going to be watching
I'm
the
gonna
entire
do
thing?
something. I'll probably do something. Yeah, I know you don't like reviewing shows that release all the episodes at once, but considering Stranger Things is releasing a few at a time, yeah. And again, the way, like you mentioned, you could do a live 2 to 3 days after the first set of releases, and I think I'm gonna do it probably that way, because the way that they're structuring the release of the final season of Stranger Things, it's a lot more conducive to the kind of reviewing that I do. Because they're not dropping all the episodes at once. They're dropping a small portion of episodes, then they're dropping another small portion of episodes like a month after that, and then the finale's coming out like Christmas Day. So they're staggering out the release in the sense where it's going to be a little bit easier to cover. So however many episodes they drop during this first batch, like I think it's like November 17th or something like that. Whenever they drop the first batch of episodes, I'll watch the first batch of episodes, and we'll definitely do some kind of review on them. If not a video, definitely a live stream. Because yeah, I mean, it's been so long. I'm not like super excited for Stranger Things, and I think that's why I kind of always forget about it when I think about all the shows that I'm planning on covering for the rest of the year. But it's its final season. Season 4 was a bit of a step up in terms of quality. Like, season 4 was a lot better than season 2 and 3, which I thought were really atrocious. So I do want to see how it ends. If nothing else, I mean, 10 years of our lives that we've been waiting to see the ending of Stranger Things. 10 fucking years for them to do 5 seasons. That is ridiculously unheard of. So at this point, at the very least, I do want to see how it ends. So yeah, I'll be doing something on Stranger Things when they drop that first cluster of episodes, some kind of review.
We're gonna watch it anyway. You and I are
Yeah,
gonna watch it
we're
anyway,
gonna
so
we're gonna watch it anyway, so might as well talk about it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, we're not too far out, right? I think it releases in a few days, right? I
Mhm.
thought it was the
Yep.
17th. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn it was November 17th. Or maybe I'm wrong. Today's the 17th. Technically, it just became the 17th.
Oh, is it out now? Let's go.
Today is officially the 17th. But I don't know if I'm right about that date. I could be wrong, but we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, if it's already out, 26. That sounds a little more accurate. No, I mean, yeah, that sounds a little more right. Yeah, we will definitely, yeah, 26. That sounds a little more accurate. Okay, yeah, 26, about little less than 2 weeks away, and yeah, we'll do something. We'll definitely at least do something on Stranger Things because I at least want to see how it ends. We shall see. We shall see. I mean, these kids look like they're all in their fucking 20s right now. It looks like they're all, going to be having beers and drinking having beards and drinking beers at the bar at this point instead of running around on their bikes around town. Like these kids are way too old to be running around on their bikes. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about Stranger Things season 5. I feel like it could go either way where it's going to be like really, really good. And the extra time that they took to film it, like they spent so much time on season 5, and maybe having all of that extra time really made them put together like a really solid season. Or it's going to end up being like completely like shit. I feel like it's going to be one or the other. I feel like it's not going to be like in the middle of the road where it's kind of okay. I feel like Stranger Things season 5 is either going to be great or completely horrible. I feel like it can't be in the middle at this point, but I don't know. We'll see. Dance of the Dragons, that no official word on the release date yet, but we know the filming has been wrapped up, and it looks like they're kind of airing like a mid 2026 release date for House of the Dragon. So I'm thinking maybe June, July, around there, we'll probably be getting season 3 of House of the Dragon. I'm thinking June or July, maybe. And of course, we have A Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming in January. So yeah, 2026 is definitely going to be the year of A Song of Ice and Fire. We got 2 A Song of Ice and Fire shows coming out in 2026, and we'll be covering the hell out of both of them for sure. For sure. And yeah, at least we have some shows to watch and to get through before From drops. Yeah, we got some stuff. Yeah, January 18th, Dunkin' Egg. Can't wait. Cannot wait for Dunkin' Egg. I think Dunkin' Egg is going to be so freaking good. It's so different from Game of Thrones. It's so different from House of the Dragon. But I think it's going to be a really fun show. Like I always, whenever I try to describe what Dunkin' Egg might feel like for someone who maybe only watched Game of Thrones, I try to always tell them, picture something kind of similar in the sense of if Arya and the Hound got their own spinoff, trotting around Westeros, getting in and out of trouble. Everybody loved the pairing of Arya and the Hound during Game of Thrones because they just had a really good dynamic between the two. Dunkin' Egg will have a similar kind of dynamic where it's very endearing between those two. And yeah, I think Dunkin' Egg is going to be a really fun show. Or Night of the Seven Kingdoms is going to be a really fun show. Looking forward to that. And yeah, Fallout, very much looking forward to Fallout in December. Fallout just dropped a full season 2 trailer. And I've been meaning to try and do a breakdown on it. So if I do have time, I will get that out at some point in the next few days. But we'll definitely be covering Fallout when that drops, 100%, without a doubt. I thought Fallout Season 1 was a lot of fun. A lot.
I think I haven't seen it. I need to catch up.
I need to do a rewatch. We'll watch it. We'll watch it together because I definitely need to do a rewatch.
Okay.
for sure. It's good. I thought it was really good. It's with Walton Goggins and one of the girls from Yellow Jackets, Jackie, who played Jackie in season 1 of Yellow Jackets.
Mhm.
She's one of the main characters. But yeah, it's good. It was good. It was really good. But yeah, a lot of good shows to look forward to, guys. A lot of and speaking of films, I mean, I feel like we're due for another 28 Years Later trailer at some point. It's been
I
a
know.
while since we've gotten anything new on 28 Years Later, and January is right around the corner. It's not too far away. So I have to imagine we'll probably be getting another 28 Years Later trailer probably pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one, The Bone Temple. I love it because we're gonna be following my favorite character, the doctor. Um, I love the
Kelsey.
way he thinks, Dr. Kelson, the way that he speaks and his view on life. And we're going to be interacting with the infected in a different way. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of people were turned off by the last 5 minutes. I'm like, why did you have to put that in there? Why? Everybody was sold. It felt like everybody was all in, and then you put in the Power Rangers, and like people were just like, okay, never
Mm,
mind the last 2 hours of amazing work. The Power
mhm.
Rangers just killed everything.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking forward to it. I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, no, I am too. I am too. I enjoyed most of that film because it was different. It was far different from any zombie or outbreak, infected, apocalypse style film than we've ever gotten. It was completely different. Instead of it just being your traditional kind of survival story, it really was a coming of age tale for Spike, for young Spike's character. And that was an interesting kind of different take to have a kind of hero's journey and coming of age tale set within the confines of a zombie apocalypse style setting. That's a very interesting combination where it was a good mix. I thought it was a very intriguing and interesting way to showcase this coming of age tale of Spikes in the middle of this 28 years later world. It was a good mix. I mean, I had some problems with the film. I mean, I've been very open about some of my problems with some certain aspects of the filming and some of the filming techniques that they used to actually shoot the movie, like the ridiculous poor man's bullet time, as Danny Boyle refers to it as, where he kind of does this little jerk around motion where anytime someone shoots an arrow, he kind of gives you fucking whiplash with the camera. I get what he was trying to achieve with that, but I just don't think it. I just don't think it was very good. But no, overall, I enjoyed 28 Years Later. I thought it was an interesting setting, having this kind of very weird coming of age tale for Spike in this world. But yeah, it looks like the second one's going to be completely different from the first one, where it's kind of described as the first one's deranged cousin because yes, it's the sequel, but it very much kind of goes off and does its own thing with the Jimmy gang and getting into Kelson's backstory and stuff. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. And yeah, a lot of people enjoyed the Power Rangers. I mean, the Power Ranger stuff, I mean, it's, it's, I get it. I think a lot of people did enjoy it, seeing this, them kind of having that kind of fighting style, very kind of nostalgic, if nothing else, maybe. But yeah, for me, I just didn't like the tone of that last scene. Like that was one thing I loved about 28 Years Later is it had a very kind of serious tone where you were seeing Spike go on this journey, on this hero's journey, this coming of age tale, and him having to kind of come to terms with the fact that he can't save his mom, that he is going to lose his mom. It's a film about growth, about trauma, about loss, and it's interesting to have that kind of film and that kind of tone set in that setting. So when the film had a really good kind of serious tone like that, and you see how devastating it is when Spike finally loses his mother, and how beautiful that scene was between him and Kelson, and him putting her skull, adding it to the bone temple, it was beautiful, beautiful scene. And then I feel like you get like almost tonal whiplash compared to that really nice serious tone compared to the tone that instantly starts when the Jimmies show up at the end of the film. I feel like that would have worked a little bit better as like a post credit scene where it didn't kind of ruin the tone of the end of the filming, being like super profound and super serious, and being like a very valuable lesson for anyone who is a son that has a mother out there, or not even just a son, any child that has a mother that might potentially lose them or has lost them one day. Like there's a lot of valuable lessons to learn there in Spike's journey, and I just feel like that was cheapened a little bit with the kind of tonal whiplash that we got with these Jimmys just flipping around. I feel like that scene would have worked a lot better as a post-credit scene, as opposed and just letting the film end on that very serious but very profound tone that Spike learned, this journey that Spike just went through. So that was my problem with the ending. I thought it gave me tonal whiplash in a sense, going from one extreme to the other and not blending very well with each other.
Yeah, I like a smooth transition. I do. If we're transitioning into the next, which I understand, that's what they said. We're transitioning. So we have to put that in there so that you can transition into the second film.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing that the second one will also have a weird change of tone at the end to transition
To set up
to
Jim's story. Yeah, because the
exactly
third
to
film is
Jim.
going to be Cillian Murphy's film, from what we're hearing. That's going to be all his film, the third one.
But it would have been better if it was in the credits. That
Yeah.
way you can look at it as a fun sort of look into what's coming, and you could just kind of look at the film for what it was
Yeah.
and what it was trying to convey without this transition that everybody kind of focused on.
Yeah.
It took the attention away from all of the other great,
It
scenes that we
overshadowed it.
saw. It
Yeah.
overshadowed it.
It
The music
overshadowed
was amazing. I love the music. I love the style. I love the theme. And then, yeah, it was not a smooth transition, but
Mhm.
exciting. Lots of things coming. Lots of things. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to. A lot of fun stuff. And of course, we're going to be continuing our From rewatch parties that we have been doing in the Discord. I know we didn't do one this week, but maybe we'll aim for either tomorrow or Tuesday to continue our From rewatch party in the Discord, and we'll be continuing with episodes 5 and 6 next, I believe. Episodes 5 and 6 of season 1 will be next on our From rewatch party. So I will announce that in the Discord, whether it's tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll let everybody know ahead of time. But yes, we will be continuing our From rewatch parties as well. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to look forward to and a lot of stuff to watch while we, eventually wait for 2026 to get here and all of the amazing shows that's going to be coming with it. And of course, in January, season 2 of Shogun officially begins filming. A lot of information has been coming out on season 2 of Shogun and where the show is going to be going. I am currently working on a season 2 Shogun video, basically everything we know so far and where the story is going to be going based on the real history of Tokugawa, which they're going to be adapting from season 2 on. So super excited about that. Shogun was probably one of my favorite shows that I've seen in years. It was so phenomenal, so sophisticated, and some of the best acting and storytelling I've seen in a series in a very, very long time. So super excited for Shogun season 2, starting filming in January. I'll definitely be covering that all year round. And anytime some information comes out, you'll definitely be hearing it here first. And anyone who hasn't seen Shogun, I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not like into samurai, it's totally fine. It's not really a samurai show in the sense where it's just a bunch of guys fighting. There's hardly any fighting in Shogun at all. It's much more of a Game of Thrones earlier season style political kind of thriller, in terms of seeing the political maneuvering, the scheming and scamming that happens between the higher ups. It's really intriguing. It very much is a Game of Thrones style setting set in feudal Japan. So I would highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen Shogun, check out Shogun season 1. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Even if you're not into samurai per se, you will probably enjoy Shogun season 1 just for the sheer brilliance of the writing, the acting, the casting, the incredibly meticulous attention to detail in terms of them depicting the most accurate look at feudal Japan that I've ever seen in any production anywhere by far. It is the most accurate look of what feudal Japan really looked like at the end of the Sengoku period. So it really is just a phenomenal show from top to bottom, from start to finish. Shogun is one of the best shows ever fucking made. So I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already, and we will definitely be covering season 2 when it gets here, probably towards the end of 2026. But that is going to do it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a big thank you to everybody for hanging out with us this evening on our episode 4 live after show discussion for It Welcome to Derry. And now the countdown begins to episode 5, to us getting our first full-on Bill Skarsgård appearance as Pennywise in the flesh, which will be happening in next week's episode. And of course, keep an eye out for my episode 5 trailer breakdown video. I'll probably be having that up on the channel tomorrow or the next day, the latest, where I break down all of the scenes in the episode 5 trailer and give my predictions for where episode 5 is going to go, and how the story itself, how the show itself is going to change drastically now that Pennywise is officially arriving. Because I think it is. I think the second half of season 1, once Pennywise arrives, this is going to look like a totally different show than the first half of the season. And I think it's going to be a big upgrade and an improvement. So be on the lookout for that. That will be out at some point over the next few days. And of course, be on the lookout for our Shogun video that we're working on. And of course, I have a Pluribus video that I'm trying to get out as well. But until next time, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe out there. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks. And we will see you on the next one. Cheers.
But you know what they say about Derry.
No one who dies here ever
Really dies.
My father came to this country with $14 in his pocket.
Down with the clown.